right, welcome to Podcast 2 for Rock 30, Bill and Jay's excellent podcast. I'm Billy Quinton.
I'm Jay Odom.
And we are very excited about our guest for Podcast 2. What was originally planned was we were going to have Mike Ritland, a Navy SEAL, who was going to join us for Podcast 2. At the last minute, he could not make it. He's stuck at the kennel. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, and you started thinking, who do we know that is so close to being a Navy SEAL that people would not even hint that there's any change? So, of course, we called Randy Talley, former Rockwall Baseball head coach, current Rockwall Baseball broadcaster. And Randy, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. And I have worked at a swimming pool, sort of like a SEAL with the balloons, the blown up beach balls and stuff like that. Okay. So
were you a lifeguard?
I was sort of a SEAL.
A lifeguard?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so if you need to jump in and say.
I've also coached a swim team.
You did not. You've coached us where?
Huntsville.
Really?
Elkins Lake.
All the prisoners? Did you? All the prisoners? They
These were kids.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. And so
misdemeanors mainly.
So what I want to get to here, first of all, to start this off, is you talked about, at some point we're going to show a picture of Mike Ritland, the Navy SEAL. Caden's working on something else right now. Can Caden pop up that picture of Mike? Is that
Absolutely,
possible?
Yes.
Pop that picture of Mike up there real quick, Caden. Okay, on the right there. I think it's both. That's him before and after. So, and I'm like the Nate Bargatze. You ever see him, the comedian?
Oh, God.
When you see, have you ever seen this guy?
Favorite.
Yeah, I love him. And he says, I always see the before and afters. And he goes, when he looks at it, he goes, I'm good with the before. How do I get the before body? And I don't know. I'll never get the after body. I'll take the before. But right there, Mike Ritland on the right, that's what he looks like now. And Randy, you're very close. You were talking about before we went on the air. Talk about the similarities.
But I also have 2 arms, 2 legs. Now, I sleep in shorts similar to that on the left, the before picture.
Gotcha.
But I could pull it off the one on the right.
Okay.
If I'm by myself.
All right.
I don't know if those are tattoos or not.
Yeah, I would think so. I can't imagine that was natural.
I have 10 tattoos.
That's right. You do have tattoos.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'd never know it.
Can you name the tattoos? Like, tell us the 10 tattoos, what they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
The very first one was a promise me, my wife, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law made years ago, 35 years ago. If anything ever really big happened in our life, we would all go get a tattoo to commemorate it, which to me that's, and my parents had their 50th wedding anniversary. And we got back to my house, and my brother-in-law said, don't you think being married 50 years is a big deal nowadays?
Yeah.
And I went, oh, my gosh, yeah. And he said, tattoo time. And we went down on Deep Ellum, and 3 of us got a tattoo. My wife didn't, and I have my kids convinced that she has a tattoo somewhere on her body, and they won't leave it alone. They will not leave it alone. Second tattoo, real quick. I'm going to just sort of
run through
these. Okay. Facing a first-round draft pick pitcher in a 1-game playoff, and I told our team before we got off the bus, you beat Preston Claiborne, all the coaches will go get a tattoo. And they went nuts. We beat them 9-0.
So it worked.
So I get the tattoo of the state of Texas, Texas High School Baseball emblem, and hoping to put, because this was to go to state, and state champs underneath it, once we accomplished that. Well, we didn't, so I have a nice deal of stuff. I get back to the field, and every other coach on my staff got their daughter's name tattooed on their shoulder. So my daughter sees that and is irate. So I have to go and get her name on my shoulder. My son sees my daughter's name, and I have his now on my left shoulder. My wife said, you've got baseball, your daughter, your son, where's me?
Where's me?
So I've got now Beth on my chest.
Over your heart.
Over my heart.
Yeah.
And let's see, how many is that so far?
Gosh, I
That's
don't know.
five.
Five.
Yeah.
That's five. The next was super close friend of mine. His daughter got cancer and passed away, and I got her initials put underneath my daughter's name because they were real good friends. And then I was a Bearcat, and so we all agreed.
Old Kate for life.
All cats.
Cats.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
It's
Old
spelled with a
cats.
K. That's how unstable all of it
cats.
is.
Old Kate. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not your wife.
you thought this is going to be a problem if you had not Kate. on there.
17 of us agreed that we'd get this tattooed on us. 2 of us did. The other 15 opted for hats and T-shirts. Well, this is another group I'm a member of called the Nelta Boys. We've been high school buddies since 1969, and we all lived on the same subdivision and played ball together, knew each other, and all that. Billy's heard them on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
They call in and
Yeah.
tempt me to say something that I
Right.
probably shouldn't say, but I'll say it
But
just
you
to.
do it.
He'll say something that's off the radar, and I'm like, not the boys.
You
Not
know
the
what it
boys.
is.
Yeah, they've contacted
So
me.
that's the Nelson Boys. And then my dad, he was a hard man, like I said in the talk.
Mm-hmm.
He never said, way to go, or I'm proud of you. All he would say is pretty work.
Huh. Okay.
And
I
that
didn't
was
know that.
that was his saying for way to go.
I like
Good
that.
job.
Pretty work.
Yeah,
Pretty
pretty
work.
work.
I'm going to start using
Yeah.
that.
And I was telling my grandkids that, and one of them was just looking at me crazy. I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "They call me Papa." I said, "Papa, do you know how many times you say pretty work every day?" And I said, "I don't think I've ever said this. You say it 10 times a day." I said, "I'll be dang." So I didn't know that. And
I thought you got one recently. Then you get one like 2-3 years ago. I remember one day you
yeah,
showed up.
that was pretty work.
Pretty work.
Pretty work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have another one I'm getting, but I haven't got it yet, and that's the DPNL logo of Ready Kilowatt.
Oh
His
yeah.
name was Sparky.
Yes. On the book covers.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get Sparky put on
I
my.
love that. Do you remember those days? Did you have book covers when you were
Yeah.
in school?
Oh, yeah.
You got your books, then you get the book cover
Yeah.
paper, and then everybody had different ways to put it on.
Yes.
And that's where I became an artist, because on the book covers is when I would draw all the logos of the NFL teams on there by memory, trying to do it by memory. And then when you did all the NFL logos, then did rock bands. You did Van Halen, Aerosmith, and all those things.
You did that though by turning the book cover over.
Over,
had to
yeah. So you have the
And
blank
it would
side.
be white on both sides.
Well,
or
other than
gray
the
or
instructions,
manila.
they would
Yeah.
have the little bitty
Yeah.
instructions on there to show you how to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The little
I've
fold
forgotten
lines.
about those, 'cause
Yeah.
they don't even have books anymore.
No, you would have the Ready Kilowatt, or Randy, was it Ready Kilowatt?
Yeah, Ready Kilowatt.
And you would make him something else. You would draw on him
Yeah.
and make him. It wouldn't make him better. You did some things to him to make
Enhanced
him.
him.
You enhanced him. Yeah, yeah. And so then that was a big deal too. I remember that.
I can't get my eyes off this guy, and
You can take that down.
his
Has that been up the
tattoos
whole
are
time?
Much bigger than mine. Oh,
Have they
yeah.
not seen us?
There we go.
Looking at us.
You got some serious editing ahead of you.
That ain't bad.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about your background, Randy. Okay. Were you born in Richardson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in Richardson. Matter of fact, my mom and dad's phone number was 53.
That's how long ago?
Really?
53.
That's great.
And 1955, we moved into the house that I grew up in. I actually, old part of town, and then as a baby moved to the new house that they had bought. So anyway, and lived there till I went to school.
Okay. All right.
And then I
Richardson?
in Richardson High School.
Well, yeah. Okay. And then you go to, after Richardson High School, you played football in high school.
Yeah.
And did you play baseball?
I played baseball up until my senior year.
Okay. All right.
And I had a lot of injuries, and I have a back problem and everything, and nothing was working out for me.
What
except
position did you play in
baseball.
baseball?
I was a infielder.
Okay.
Just regular, not very good.
Yeah.
One of the guys, Roy. The rest of you, come on over here.
There you go.
Couldn't
you
hit
go.
a curveball, but I could smash a fastball.
Well, that was me. I thought I was pretty good until they threw the curveball, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not good at all. I'm not." And I stopped playing baseball in high school because it's a spring, and that's when all your buddies and all the girls at the end of school are heading out to go to. We had Storms, which is a drive-in. Everybody's going to Storms. Everybody's doing stuff, and I'm going to practice. And baseball was not a big deal in Lampasas when I was growing up. It was a real big afterthought. So I was
Compared
out.
to football.
Compared to football and even basketball. But yeah, but anyway. All right, so you go to Sam Houston State. You first went to Tech.
I first went to Tech. I tried to walk on as a baseball player at Tech.
Okay, let me go back to that. So you weren't good enough to really play a lot in high school, and you didn't play your senior year, but decided I can play in college.
Have you ever heard of the Dale Murphy syndrome?
Okay, no. I know who Dale Murphy was.
Okay, Dale Murphy was the first one to be attacked with this neurological disorder. And it's very common. Everybody in the world knows it as the yips.
Oh, yes.
If
the
you
yips.
played golf and got the yips,
Yep.
it's what it is.
Yep.
And all my life, I wanted to play high school baseball for the Richardson Eagles. Wanted to play it worse than anything. And when I got up there to tryouts, I could not. And I'm telling you, I'm playing at the highest level you can play during the summers with these same guys, and I can't warm up with them.
Because you can't throw it correctly.
I cannot.
You can't.
I
You're
don't
not
know.
accurate.
I can't
Right.
release the ball where you release it to warm up. I went to 2 tryout camps, the Astros and the Cincinnati Reds, and got up like at 4 o'clock in the morning with my poor friend who drove with me down there to attend the camps and the tryouts.
Who's the friend?
Randy Brown.
Okay.
He played at McNeese and San Diego Padres.
Okay. Wow.
So we're out in the parking lot throwing rocks. And he's trying to convince me. I guess he was my psychologist too.
Right.
But I got out there, and the very first day at Tech, I see Cal Segrist walk across the field, and I just go, yeah. And it was horrible. It was horrible. And so I was little. I was 5'4", 154 when I graduated, but eating 3 meals a day at Tech on the food plan, I grew and got bigger, and my girlfriend at the time said,
It does happen.
You need to go down to Sam Houston and play football.
Yeah.
And so that's what took me down there.
Okay. So then you attend Sam Houston, and you have the Cats tattoo.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. See, I thought it was. See, we both. I'm a Texas State. You're a Sam
Bearcat.
Houston. You're Bearcat. I'm Bobcat. Both of us are Eat 'em Up.
I know that.
Eat 'em Up Cats. Yours is Eat 'em Up Cats K. Mine is Eat 'em Up Cats C.
And that is very hard to admit. I thought we were the originators of that whole thing. But even back when you were in college, it was Eat 'em Up Cats.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if y'all stole that from us or we stole it from you.
I don't know.
say,
Or if
who
both
was
of
that
us
first?
stole it from somebody else. There's a million cat mascots out there. So,
You know what I've learned? The jacket fight never dies. That J is replaceable.
right. Yeah,
I
I've seen
see
it on
that
others.
everywhere
Yeah.
on this, especially on this Texas football Facebook page. I did not know that.
I've
Yeah.
never heard it except with the jacket.
No,
Yeah,
I think we are probably the most prominent with it because we do it for everything. But other schools have, Cougar Fight Never Dies or whatever it is. Yeah. But if you look at high schools, a lot of that is shared. I mean, look at most high school logos. They're from colleges. Whatever your mascot is, if it's the same. I mean, the Yellow
Same with the
Jackets.
fight songs.
Fight songs, same thing, yeah. And so, but if you look, the old Rockwall Yellow Jackets Yellow Jacket logo was from Georgia Tech for years. It was the Georgia Tech one, and then it was changed a number of years ago. But yeah, so high schools are always grabbing something, and I'm sure colleges do it too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happens. So tell the story. I like this story that you decide you're going to go. You came home from Tech and you decide I'm going to go try out football at Sam Houston. And was it Thunder that went with you?
No, Thunder's brother.
Thunder's brother.
I went to tell my good buddy, one of my closest friends, that I was going. I was leaving. I was going down to Huntsville, which I didn't know where it was at. I didn't know the colors. I didn't know the nickname. I didn't know anything except take the exit where the big T is on a restaurant and turn left.
Was the Sam Houston statue up then or not?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
And so I stopped, and his brother is sitting at the kitchen table working a crossword puzzle, and my friend goes by Thunder, and he goes, what do you need? And I said, is Thunder here? And he said, no, he's not around. And I said, well, I'm leaving. I just want to tell him bye. And he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to college. And he said, really? And I said, well, you want to come? And he said,
come on with me.
Yeah.
I swear, this is the exact.
It's like they're going to Stuckey's on the interstate. Is what they're doing.
This is the exact verbiage of the whole conversation. I said, well, you want to go? And he said, you know what? I've been wanting to go to college. And I said, well, go pack a bag. And he goes back, and he comes out with a Jackie Gleason suitcase.
He's ready to go on the adventure.
Like a sock hanging out a little bit after it's fastened.
Part material, part wood, just a good old-fashioned suitcase. And we're about to go out the door, and I said, don't you think you ought to leave your Big Liz and W.O. a note? And he said, yeah, that'd probably be the best thing. So he tears a piece of paper off, and he writes, gone to college. Mike.
So he didn't say where.
No.
He just said gone to college.
Gone to college.
Yeah.
Mike.
Well, they must have been happy to even get that note.
Exactly.
He's gone to college.
And I picture his parents coming in going, no, we don't have Mike for supper. He's gone to college.
No, where did he go?
Yeah, no.
He got a degree.
So he stuck it out.
He stayed with me, and he got a degree. And it is unbelievable.
But really quick, I want you to talk about when you showed up and you wanted to see the stadium.
We were together that night, and we didn't get down there until about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And he goes, well, obviously we're going to have to sleep in your Mustang. And I said, I know. The seats lay back. And he said, okay. And so I said, let's go by and see the football stadium. And he said, how are we going to find the football stadium? I said, we're just looking for lights. They won't be on, but we can see the light poles. So we find what we think is the stadium, and I pull my car right up to the fence. He's smaller than me, so I stand on my car, and he stands on my shoulders. And this red brick wall, he looks over, and I said, what does it look like? And he said, well, they must be re-siding because it's all dirt. And I said, is a lot of bleachers? And he said, a lot of bleachers up and down the sides. I went, all right, we'll come back tomorrow and see
You've
it.
hit the big time.
Well, yeah, we'll see it in the daylight. We go back the next day, and we had been and were at the prison rodeo arena.
So did he not see like the chutes?
No.
Okay. He's like, I guess we get dressed in the chutes over here.
The chutes were all underneath him.
Okay. Oh, okay.
He's
looking over. Okay.
So all he was seeing was arena.
I got you.
He saw the stands. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So after you decide to play football at Sam Houston, had a great career.
Had a good career.
Yeah. Position?
Linebacker.
All right. When did you graduate? What year did you graduate?
1974.
Okay. So you then now have to work.
Yeah.
And your first job out of college?
Well, it was in Richardson.
Right.
I got hired as a coach in Richardson, and in Richardson, any new hire, not a transfer or somebody moving in, you had to start at the middle school level. And so I was the head 7th grade football coach. I had one assistant. He was the head 7th grade basketball coach.
Okay, right.
We had 120 athletes. And my assistant coach had never put on a pair of shoulder pads in his life. He had never been on a football field in his life. He played at SMU. His name was Joe Galindo. And so I had basically offense and defense, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. And we were a brand new school, so I was literally having to put everything together too. He had never held a wrench in his hand in his life either.
Where did they get this guy?
Well, he was a good basketball player.
Okay.
Anyway, that's...
And so then you eventually, though, coach at Richardson Bertner.
Yeah, I told my dad, in fact, my dad told me I could live at home until October 1st. And on October 1st, it was, we'll see you later.
Right. I got the same thing when I got to school.
Yeah.
With a date?
Well, my dad told me you got 2 weeks. Once I graduated, you got 2 weeks.
A deadline.
You had October 1st.
Yeah.
We basically started in September, so he was giving me a month
Okay.
to get it all straightened out on
Sure.
where I was going to live.
Plenty of time.
So
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
To pull it together.
Yeah, to pull it together, get a job, get an apartment, or whatever you need to do, a living area. Yeah.
I can still remember coming home about the third week of school and flopping down in his recliner. And he always called me Mo. He said, Mo, what's the matter? And I said, if I don't get moved to the high school next year, I can't do this for a living. I cannot do this for a living. One
And
quick
that was
story.
just October
Yeah.
at that point. So.
Well, it was still in September at
Or
that
September.
point.
Okay. So
My
you-
deadline to leave was October 1st. I'd already secured where I was going to go to. I just didn't want to start
but
paying.
hold on,
We
second.
lost his mic.
We lost
Mine?
Yeah.
Test 1, 2.
Yeah, I don't hear anybody.
Test?
You don't hear
Something turn off. Is the
There we go. Now we're back.
Test 1, 2.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
You got
All
Wait,
right.
I'm not on. Are you?
Yeah, I got you.
Test 1, 2. Test.
Can you not hear it?
Am I? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
What was it?
I don't know. I haven't touched this since we began. So maybe my knee bumped.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
I'll cut that.
More editing for Jay.
This is great that when it's not live.
Right.
Y'all don't get that.
No, we got to wing it. And then then I have to blame Randy for the problem, even if he didn't do it.
Even if I'm not eating, I get accused of eating.
Right. Anything that goes wrong, it's like, come on, Randy.
Now, have y'all been live broadcasting and something like that happened? No sound.
Let me put it to you this way.
All the time.
Every broadcast.
Something happened.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much every broadcast that we'll have something, the wheels go flying off. We are in a ditch most of the time with the gas pedal still pushed and the wheels spinning because our broadcasts are just,
What's bad is to have a great segment.
yes.
I mean, it's just rolling, and Billy's being his best, and I'm being my best, and then we find out we've been off for about
Right, you've
30
been off the air.
minutes.
Now, sometimes it ain't our fault. It's the signal or it's the site that we use to get it out there. But about 9% of the time, it's my fault. And or the equipment, because I don't know how many times I will get there early. And I said, as Randy knows, I'll get there and I have it all set up. And I've tested everything, just like you do. He gets it. Then we go, all right, let's go. Click. All right, that ain't working. All right, that ain't going.
What
What
happened?
happened?
I want to know what happens in the time frame because
I'm panicking. I'm in a major
It's
panic.
inevitable. Everything's working perfect.
Right.
You come back
Right.
and
Something like the signal's not, something's, I don't know what
we'll
it
have
is.
people texting us and saying you're not on.
Right.
You're not on. You're
Right.
off the air.
Right. We get that all, and we get, when we are on the air, people don't realize also that it's their Wi-Fi can be the problem too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if their Wi-Fi's not doing well, they're telling us, y'all ain't on the air, but we know we're on the air because we'll also have the game on too. So I always make sure that it's on. But about half our broadcast is texting people saying, no, we're on the air. It's a
back and
nightmare.
forth. No, it's you.
Yeah,
You
no,
have
it's,
internet?
yeah. Check your. And I've literally had people say, "Hey, tell me what I need to do."
you're doing-
And I mean, we're in the middle of a broadcast.
Tech support.
Yeah, they want tech
Reboot your
support right
router.
there. Yeah. Before we get to the third inning, hey, Bob in Richardson, what you need to do is restart the router. I mean, what are you doing? They ask everything. All right, so let's go back. You coach at Richardson Berkner for how long? 3
Well,
years?
I wanted to tell this one story about
Okay, go
Joe
back.
Galindo.
Okay, Joe Galindo.
Okay, so we're playing Lake Highlands, 7th grade, Liberty Patriots, and I'm calling offense and defense, and they're really good. Lake Highlands is really good, and we are actually only 6 points down to them. And I am just sweating, and Joe has his arms crossed and his legs crossed. And he's next to me, and he said, Coach T, I said, yeah, what? Just real quick. And he goes, is that not the most beautiful sunset you've ever seen in your life?
Now, have you kept up with this guy?
Just barely. Barely I have.
I want you next ball game we do, because we see the sunsets when we do the ball game.
Yeah.
I want you to take a picture, send it to him, and say those exact words. Isn't this the most beautiful sunset?
You
I'm
gotta
gonna
do
have,
that.
I'm gonna have to find him first.
Yeah.
But I am with the travel club now, and they're in touch with Joe Galindo.
Okay,
so
good.
I can find him.
Okay, yeah. You got to send him a sunset. See, right now, I told my daughter, we're in the middle of a podcast. Hey, can you get me some chocolate? Like, people don't care. They don't, All right, so, now you're at Berkner. You coach there for 3 years. You coach football and you get the baseball gig, right? Is it 3 years? How long are you at Berkner?
I was at Berkner for 7 years.
7 years, I'm sorry.
2 years at Pierce, and then Rockwall.
Okay. Oh, so there was Pierce in between Berkner and Rockwall.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I missed it. So you had the 7th grade job.
Yeah, I had the 7th grade
And
job.
you made it through the year.
I made it through the year and got moved up.
And then you okay.
I got moved up. And,
But Berkner is the rival of Richardson. Am I correct?
well, it was one of 4 Richardson schools.
Okay. All right.
Pierce, Richardson High School, Lake Highlands, and Berkner.
That's right.
Now I want to know: did you insist that your assistant coach come with you?
Yeah.
Did he?
The sunset coach.
You left him there.
He was out of coaching immediately on the last day of school. He was gone.
So he knew it was not.
yes.
Not his.
That's so
Yes.
funny. All right. Now I want to jump to what years were you at Rockwall? I have it down as 91 to 2005. Is that
Well, I got here in 89, 90.
okay?
That was the first school year, 89,
Okay.
90.
All right. All right.
And but I thought you were going to ask me how I got asked to be the baseball
That was
coach.
my next question.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I was when I became when I went to the high school at night. That's when we played our amateur baseball, and I was also on a slow pitch team. I was also on a fast pitch team, and I was also on a co-ed team. So I had, 4 different uniforms at any time during the week. I could be wearing 2 of them in one night,
Right.
trying to fit it. I just had to X the least important game. And so my head coach, he had coached me in high school. He said, I always see you putting on a uniform going out here. Do you play ball? I go, yeah. And he said, would you want to be the head baseball coach? And I said, well, sure. And he said, okay.
Now, is there a pay raise with this?
There was a stipend.
Stipend,
There
okay.
was going to be a stipend,
Okay.
a whole $1,000.
There you go. All right.
My coach
To be the head coach, the baseball head coach, is $1,000.
But their requirements is what I like. They saw that you played. So
Right.
My coaching and teaching football and baseball and coaching and teaching history, the athletic part of it after school, after my teaching I was making, I thought, a great salary was 26 cents an hour
Sure.
for coaching.
Yeah. Huh?
When I retired, I was making 58 cents an hour.
Oh,
Okay,
in
let's be
2005.
double.
Yeah, exactly. You've doubled it. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't spit on that. Okay, but he asked you, and what did you tell him when he said, "I want you to take over the baseball program"? I love what you told him.
I'll do it. I'll start tomorrow. When do you want me to start? And he said, well, I got to talk to Hardy. And, Hardy McCrary, who coached in Texas, he was the guy going to be a coordinator. So in those times, you had to free up your baseball coach to be a JV coach during the football season.
Right.
You didn't want one of your varsity coaches being the head baseball coach.
Right.
So I knew that was putting me in that slot, but to lead a program, I was anxious to do that.
And you told him, what I was getting to, you told him, he said, you kind of gave him if I get this job, here's what I'm going to do. And what did you tell him?
No, that was Flint.
Oh, that was Flint.
At Rockwall.
Oh, okay.
That was Flint at Rockwall.
Okay.
And, the story sort of went the same way with Flint. It's on your resume, you were a head baseball coach, do you want to be our head baseball coach? Well, sure. So then he brings me in for a 5-year plan. I go, well, I really believe in my heart that Rockwall can be a baseball town and a football town. It just doesn't have to be a football town alone and let everybody else suffer. I said, I I think both can thrive. I think basketball can thrive. I think winning breeds winning, and it, when you have that attitude in the community, you're going to be okay. And he said, "Yeah, well, good luck with that." And turned his
Your
head.
speech didn't win him over.
But since 1991, I believe we've made the playoffs every year,
but one.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how the baseball program is the most consistently winning program at Rockwall.
Wow.
And when he took over, and then of course when he handed off to Coach Payne in 2006 is when he took over. And
Payne's
then,
first job, 2006.
Yeah. And then Coach Rose taking over. I think this will be Rose's fourth year. I think
fifth year
coming up.
And don't forget about Harvey going to Heath.
And Harvey goes to
what
Heath.
He's done at
Yeah.
Heath.
2 state championships.
Harvey was my assistant for 12 years, and Payne was my assistant for 12 years. And they both started their head coaching positions in 2006.
So let's give some numbers. I want to give some numbers here. 350 wins as a baseball coach. 4 semifinal appearances, correct?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. All right. Well, just say yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I know for a fact 1 state final.
Oh, semifinals, yeah.
Yeah, semifinals.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
1 state final appearance in 2005. District Coach of the Year 8 times.
Yeah.
And the big one, other than the 350 wins and basically, changing the program to be one of the best in the state, inducted in the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame this year. And January 12th, I believe, is when you were inducted.
Yeah.
And it was outstanding and much deserved. And that's a very big deal. Yeah.
We've got a picture of him.
Yeah, let's show the picture.
That was just very recently.
It was the 12th, on my wife's birthday. And I was informed of that when I said I'm going to go down to Randy's induction. She was great. No, she was great. She goes, "You need to go. It's my birthday." And I was like, "I do." And so my birthday's coming up, and I know nothing's going to happen because I left her.
That's right. She's going on a trip.
Yeah. Look at all these people that supported Randy.
Did you understand that he was blaming me for his birthday not being?
Right. This will be Randy's fault again. Yeah.
That's right.
But look at how many people supported him there.
Now, where is this?
That is in Round Rock, Texas.
Okay.
At the banquet center there at the Dell Diamond. And that if you look on the far right, do you see the logo?
Yeah, on the scoreboard.
Purple
logo. Yeah.
Well, from the dais, from the podium, I was looking at the guy, the 2 inductees before me, and I had a digital clock at the bottom of that logo showing me exactly how long they were talking, because they only gave us 5 minutes. Said, "You got 5 minutes." Mm-hmm. Well, the first guy, what would you say he went, 10?
I think even less than that. I think he was close to that 5. He was pretty quick.
Yeah. And then
second guy was a little longer.
Herb Espinosa came up, and he was over 20 minutes.
Over 20 minutes, and God love him. He had stories that were, I don't know if they should be officially counted as stories, because you need to have a point at the end of a story.
He did not keep the audience.
It was all right, but it was stories like, okay, we didn't have a bat in the batting cage, and so we had to find one. Then it was like...
Stories should be comparable to icebreakers.
Right. Yeah.
There's going to be a point to them, and you need to engage the whole audience, the whole crowd, and have them just waiting.
Right.
And then
it's the whole planes, trains, and automobiles Steve Martin deal.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Next time you have a story, have a point. And it'll make it so much better for the listener. And so it didn't really hit. Now then Randy steps up, and it's the opposite. He's got people laughing before he even reaches the podium. And so we knew it was going to be good. Everybody's heard him on broadcast. They know him when you talk to him. I mean, our podcast right now, it's already rolling. And he gets up there and just knocks it out of the park. It's one of the best speeches I've ever heard in any kind of acceptance speech. So it was well done.
Can it be heard anywhere online?
Yeah, we'll have to find it. Maybe I'll try to get to you.
Put a link on here.
Put a link and go to it. I think somebody... I recorded it, but I don't know how good the audio is. I recorded it from my table.
I have been able to send it to some friends that weren't able to attend, and when I'll send it just through what's
here
it called?
we go. This is what I deal with.
It's a text message. I'll send it with a text message.
Have Beth send it to me, please. You have to understand his technology knowledge is above basically an Etch-a-Sketch. That's basically that's the top level.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what an iCloud is.
But you have one.
I have one.
I'll be having the issues, and every time he goes, you need a zip drive? You want a zip drive? We haven't used zip drives in 30 years. You want a floppy? You need a floppy? Is it? And his only job, as far as technology goes in our broadcast, is to do the volume. When we go to break, we have to turn our mics down.
Or you will be heard.
We'll be heard over the commercial. And I think he gets it about 30% of the time. He'll get it.
Much more than that.
Are you aware of that this could be, or do you forget? And
I just know it's a part of the broadcast now.
Okay.
I don't know how many times I'm ready to welcome everybody back, and I start talking, welcome back to Randy Talley, and I hear nothing because everything's off. And he's over there just talking to somebody, eating peanut butter crackers. There's the eating thing. Because he's the only guy that will eat through a whole broadcast. He's got food.
From the concession?
Parents bring it up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Parents, they do a great job of dividing it up into who's got what for the week. And so there's the PA man, there's the statistician, there's the guy with the UIL pitch count, there's the lady that runs our music. It's just...
And then us.
So there's seven?
About seven of us in there, all packed in there.
And every week you've got...
Yeah, with snacks.
Yeah, and they'll and it's the parents are great, and they divide it up every broadcast we're going to do. We do all the home games, and so they'll bring us food. It ranges from burgers from Brahms, tamales. Oh, they got some tamales that come in.
I'm going to tell you what, those tamales.
Oh, we fight over them. Let me tell you this too about Randy, Mr. He's there for the kids. He's been so generous. He will steal food from everybody else to take it home. I mean, he will hide it. I mean, we'll get a whole slew of tamales, and all of a sudden you eat one, you look at they're gone. Well, he's packed them in his little carry-all or whatever. We got cookies one time, all these great cookies at a playoff game, and I couldn't eat one because the broadcast is starting, so I can't eat during the broadcast. Now, he can. He'll chow down. Well, sure.
Well, why can't you?
Because I'm doing play-by-play, and I can't have food in my mouth.
He's so professional.
I'm professional.
Okay.
If you hear our broadcast, you know we're very professional.
Okay.
And so... But he'll be over there eating. Here's my favorite thing. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to. This is how it works. I don't know how long we've been broadcasting together. It's been a couple years. We've been doing it. I estimate as the team we are. I think at least 12 years, 13 years. And then Randy would do games with me and Brian Williams, who did it before that. Right? You would come in and join me and Brian Williams. And Brian had to leave. And so then Randy stepped in full time.
I go all the way back to Scott Powell and Dave.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
What's the other guy's name?
Dave Conley.
Dave Conley.
Yeah. And that was before our time. Right. And you went back and did it with them. So, but there's not a game that Randy didn't have some sort of snack that we're going to have available. And let me tell you this. I will do this is why I like doing this podcast with you, because I know what Randy feels like now. When you ask me to do this podcast, you handle everything.
No pressure.
And yeah, right. You're doing you got the cameras, you got the sound, you got substance, you have everything. All I got to do is come in and put on a headset.
Walk in like Elvis.
Yeah.
So you know what it feels
That's
like.
what he does every broadcast. I've been sweating and getting things working. He comes in, puts on a headset, then I'll say, "How this ain't working." He'll take it off, and then he just goes talk to somebody. Just let me know when we're on the air.
Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, tell me when you're ready. So
don't touch that.
Yeah.
Don't touch that.
I was going to ask, do you want his?
No, he doesn't.
I do not.
No,
I do not, because he has offered. But it would be like a monkey just trying to figure out knobs and things. And so...
You've done things where it's easier to do it yourself than it is to tell somebody how to do it.
Right. So my favorite thing that happened one time, one of my favorites, there's a million of them, he brings in a bunch of peanut butter crackers. And he's very generous. And we get to start this broadcast, and he goes, "Hey, you want something to eat?" Now, the last thing a play-by-play guy needs to eat is crackers and peanut butter. That is not exactly smooth.
Mr. Ed the horse,
that's not. Yeah, exactly. I'll be licking my teeth and top of my mouth for the whole game. But he's thinking this is a perfect snack for broadcasters. So he brings in, and he leaves me a stack. He puts it on I have my laptop, and he puts the stack about this high of crackers on my thing. Like, whenever you want them, they're here. So as we're going, I can't eat them. So I'm going, and I keep seeing the stack go down and down and down. I haven't touched a cracker. but yet the stack is going lower and lower.
Just so embellished.
It is not. Till there's one cracker, okay? And you can tell there's that one cracker left. Like anything else, nobody wants to take the last piece.
Okay, I thought you were saying I was stacking the packages up.
No. It was just crackers.
I was getting them out of the package for him.
Right, he did. Yes, That's how generous he is. Yep. He would open the package and have them bare for me to eat. All I have to do is grab it, and eat it, which I'm not going to do. So it goes down because now they're disappearing, and I'm not even touching them. And now it's down to one. And I can even get the feeling from him, the vibe that as we're talking, he's not really paying attention to the game like he should until I hear, "You gonna eat that last cracker?" And I'm like, "No." "Okay, do you mind if I eat that?"
You had no
I had no crackers. I had a stack, and then his only worry was, "I want the last cracker." And there are another 1,000 food stories that I can tell you. It goes on, and it's incredibly funny and irritating and great, and it's the best.
So, would you consider yourself a foodie?
I'm gonna have some snacks with me. Okay. I carry a backpack, and it's got some statistics that he printed and emailed me.
Yeah. That he doesn't print right. He prints them the wrong way, and they're like this big on the sheet, and he gets mad at me that I sent it wrong.
But I am going to have snacks in that bag.
Okay.
I'm going to have jerky. I'm going to have some peanut-covered M&M, the chocolate-covered peanuts.
Oh, you love those, yeah.
The real M&Ms, I'm not a big fan.
But you like chocolate-covered peanuts.
Me too. And, hot peanuts. I like hot peanuts. And
you got your trail mix. You'll have trail mix.
The staple that I have to have, though, is a Route 44 sweet tea. Got to have that. And I have parents, even whose kid graduated 2 or 3 years prior, who will come to a game and bring a Route 44 sweet tea up into the press box.
Do I get a Route 44?
Makes him
so this is why you work with him and do this.
No, I don't get any of it. I don't get anything.
So mad that they cater to me.
They do. They will literally come in with gobs of food. Coach Talley, and just hand it to him, and they kind of give me a "good to see you," and they leave. I don't get anything.
One time they gave the press box 12 tamales, and they gave me 12 tamales.
Yeah. The other 6 had to share 12 tamales. He had 12 on his own. And still was eating ours because he knew I'm not going to eat mine. I'll eat those later. I'm eating theirs. And then he gets mad at me one time. I'm doing all the stuff like you, setting up everything. I'm sweating, getting it done. And he got mad at me one time because I didn't bring a Snickers. He goes, "Well, are you going to do anything? Are you going to contribute to the broadcast at all? Maybe bring a Snickers?" So now I got to bring him Snickers now for the broadcast.
He brought a Snicker, and it was one of those Halloween fun size.
Just enough to make you mad.
Don't even bring it.
No.
Yeah, it's the David Sweet size. It's really small. And so we should call David Sweet Fun Size. That should be his nickname now. But anyway, it is a constant. Okay, that will lead us then into maybe the only time I've ever been on the air and I couldn't talk because I lost it. Funny, like laughing. We are in Corsicana, right?
Yes.
And we have made this miracle comeback. We're playing Oak Ridge, who's a very good baseball team. We really weren't supposed to win this series. We won game 1. We win game 2. It's best 2 out of 3. And we win game 2 when they're down in the bottom of the 7th, or I think the bottom of the 7th. And we're down 2. We end up getting 3 runs and winning on this miracle, win. So I'm giddy. He's giddy. We're just so excited about this win. Now, he's got his Route 44 tea, sweet tea, that I didn't have one, but he had it because Karen Ochoa would make a point to get him a sweet tea and then, kick me in the shin and then leave the booth. So anyway, I'm now going to the post-game show where you go over stats, and I talk to him about
player of the
game, what was the key moment, all these things, and he is great. This guy knows more about baseball in his little finger than I know in my whole, life. But that's not the top priority here for him in this post-game show. So I go into it, hey, and I go over the winning pitcher and all this. All of a sudden I hear very loudly, because he also forgets that he has a mic.
Hot mic.
Hot mic, yeah. And Art said, obviously, a live hot mic right in front of him.
Right there.
A lot of times I've got to tell him to put it back because it's been moved to eat. And then he leaves it out here. So I got to be like, hey, put it back, and so he'll put it back. Because you'll hear him like he's in a canyon somewhere. And I'm like, dude, bring the mic back after you finish the turkey leg, bring the mic back around. So all of a sudden, so loud. I hear, and then it was, who Brooks Elmer went 3 innings, and I hear.
No, you hear.
Well, no, it was coming because he drank it. Now he's out. And then you hear the straw going up and down. And I look over at him like, what in the hell are you doing? I mean, it ain't like it was his first ball game. We've been doing it for years. And it's right on the mic.
And you're just not thinking about that, or you just don't care?
He's got to get all that tea in him.
I was parched.
So I look over at him, and here's what he tells me. What did you tell me when I look over?
I was parched.
You were parched? He goes, I was parched. And then says, I'm laughing. I can't speak. And then he tells me this. Be professional. Like I'm the one screwing up. And at that point, I'm almost out of my chair. I'm done. I can't say a word. And he starts laughing. We have to go to a break. I don't even know if we ever finished that post.
He's laughing more than any of the bloopers on any of the professional actors and actresses you'll ever see.
I can't catch my breath.
He couldn't stop.
Because all I could think about was, in Randy's mind, this would be a great time to get that last bit of sweet tea in me.
Right here.
Right here. And I'm going to do it as loud as possible. After the best win we've had in years around here. So, and there's so many more of those. But anyway, that's the fun of doing the ball games with
We should have had some snacks here. I didn't know.
I know, we should have, but I wanted him to concentrate.
I thought you'd bring your snacks with you.
No, I let my wife know that, the last 30, Rock 30 that I saw was like 2.5 hours long.
It was 3.
3 hours? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're not going that here. Well, maybe.
I don't think he'd make it without a snack.
Yeah, you got to give him a snack.
Well, I watched it during 2 football games.
Rodney Webb texted me before when it got posted, and he goes, we can't decide if we want to watch the podcast or Gone with the Wind. Both are the same length.
Maybe both.
Maybe do both. Okay, so I want to go back to the Hall of Fame thing, and because that leads me into there's more reasons you get into the Hall of Fame than you're winning and you've been so successful. It is your impact on so many people, and you can tell that. You saw the big group that was there supporting him. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times every game we do, how many former players come back, want to see him, want to talk to him. They've joined us on the broadcast a lot of times with Roger Kieschnick will join us, who made the majors.
James
Leverton, yeah, and all those. And we've had a number of them join us, and they love him, and rightly so, to the point that he has this great reputation throughout the state. And when we go do playoff games, we're at other stadiums. And a lot of times you go into these booths and it's the coach of that baseball team, if their team's not in the playoffs, they're the ones running the scoreboard and stuff. And he is a god when he goes in there. I am something on the bottom of your shoe when we go in. And it doesn't matter what I say. I could sit there and we'd be talking, and these people are like, oh, Coach Talley, come in here, sit down. Sit down. Here, we got you this chair. We got you this. They give me like a rock to sit on, maybe. Why don't you sit outside? Why don't you, they ask me. But anyway, they love him, and rightly so. But it doesn't matter what he says. He could say anything, and they will be, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. And even to the point, I could say, all right, there's 3 outs in the inning. And Randy could say, no, there's 6 outs. In an inning, and they'd go, yeah, you're right. You need to get 6 outs. You need to do 6 outs or whatever. And so that's another thing that I just sit there. it's so fun to watch, even though I joke around about it, because so many people you've impacted. And so talk about that. I know it's hard to talk about yourself and stuff like this, but give us a little bit of a glimpse of what it was like to play for you when you were coaching. It was definitely Rockwall baseball.
Well, the one thing that I tried to do more than anything was stay consistent. And the guys who went through off-season baseball there in Rockwall, they knew how consistent it was going to be. It was going to be every day. It was going to be the same thing. It didn't matter what the weather was. We might have a $1 million indoor facility, but we weren't going in it. We were going to be outside because you might play a game outside. You might have to fight those, physical weather conditions. Mm-hmm. And so we did that. And they didn't ever have to be in their fifth period class going, "Did you hear that thunder?" "Yeah." "Think we're going?" No. We'll be out. One day it had snowed about 4 inches, and a Yankee scout called me up and he said, "What are y'all going to do today? You going to be inside?" And I said, "No, we'll still be outside hitting." And he goes, Do you know it snowed 4 inches?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, where are you going to work out?" And I said, "We're going to work out on the concrete. We'll take shovels and get the snow off the concrete, and then we'll put our nets up, and we'll soft toss and hit tees." And he goes, "Well, when is this going to happen?" And I said, "Well, we'll get out of study hall at 3:20, so I'd say by 3:30. And he said, "Can you tell me if Preston Clark will be walking from the clubhouse down to the field at 3:30 exactly?" And I said, "I'll make certain Preston Clark is walking to the from the clubhouse to the field at 3:30. And he said, "Just want to watch him walk. Just want to watch him walk." And I said, "Okay." And they had probably heard that he might have had a knee injury or something like that, and they just wanted to see him physically walk down to the field.
Did you give him the heads up?
No. I just told him he'd go with me.
Okay.
And so we walked down there, but that was the consistency part of it. And the individuality of coaching. You have to know what one kid is like and what another kid is like. You have to know there's a difference. You can't coach A the same way you coach B. You have to tilt it a little bit and alter it a little bit to where they're both getting the same things. And we were in the playoffs, and we were over at South Garland, and James Leverton, one of my best players ever. He's a pitching coach at Baylor now. He was pitching, and he walks the first three batters, and I called timeout, and I walked out there, and James came to us after playing varsity baseball as an 8th grader from Mississippi. So, and he got to Rockwall as a freshman. He had long hair. He was real skinny. Looked like he's right off the set of Dukes of Hazzard, And I lit him up on that mound, and I said, you walk around, and this is very toned down more than you can ever twist a knob to the left. I said, you go to all these tournaments, you play on all these select teams, you go to East Cobb, you go to Georgia, you go to New York, and you get to South Garland High School and you can't throw a friggin' strike. And a lot of colorful language in there I'm not throwing out right now. But I turn around, I'm walking back to my bucket, and I stop and I turn around at him and I said, one more thing. Quit looking at me after every pitch and wondering what I'm thinking. I can't help you a bit right now. You are on your own. Well, he strikes out the side. We get out of the inning without giving up any runs. So the next night the series moves to Rockwall, and Verhagen, he's my big tall. He's probably my best, my ace. And he walks the first 3 batters at Rockwall. And Leverton's playing center field at this time. And as I'm walking out to talk to Verhagen, I look at Leverton, and he's talking to the right fielder, and I know what he's saying. He said, watch him light him up. He's thinking, okay, Verhagen's going to get these thing talk. So I come out there and I said, what's up, big guy? And he said, man, I don't know. I can't hit the plate. And I said, is your release point? And he said, do you think it's off? And I said, it's high. And he said, all right, I'll bring it down a little bit. And I said, look, we're going to score 9 or 10 runs. So if you can keep them right now in the first inning to 4 or under, we're going to be okay. But just, try to get your stride down. Let's let them hit the ball if you have to. But let's get out of the inning and then get our 6 lined up. And he said, okay. And I turned around and walked back. Well, we get the 3 outs. They scored like 3 runs. And I'm at the front of the dugout, and I'm watching Verhagen. He walked to the back of the dugout, and he's putting all of his stuff up, to get ready to hit. And in comes Leverton, and Leverton's like, oh, man, I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait to hear this. And I'm watching Leverton's face just turn into bewilderment, like, what? And he's looking at me and going, what? And, looking at me, he's hearing this. No, he didn't chew me out at all. In fact, all he did was encourage me. Well, Verhagen goes by Dr. Verhagen now. Leverton's still coaching ball at Baylor. I mean, they were 2 completely different human beings, and you had to coach them different.
You knew the outcome.
I knew the outcome. If I would have attacked Verhagen like I did Leverton, he might have walked off the field.
Or just caved.
Yeah. That's it. Just caved in. So
it's fascinating when we'll have as we do the broadcast, and there'll be the coach's visit on the mound, and Randy knows what's happening, and tell them about that. You'll even notice the positioning of the coach and how they do that.
If a coach is really, really going to get on somebody, he'll get up on top of the rubber, because he wants to be the tallest one out there, and he wants to be looking down at somebody. Oh, yeah. And if
things I never would have known.
If he just steps just onto the dirt, or the dirt, fake dirt, everything's going to be okay. He's just trying to get everybody to get everything in one pile. Let's get it all together, and let's not make a mess of this. So,
I want to go back to this 15 years at Rockwall. It's a long time at one school, especially after last week talking to Coach Webb.
Coach Webb, who's on his high school tour.
But that 15th year, did you know this is it? Or when were you like, this is it?
Well, I did not.
And I don't know if that's right. Was it 15 years at Rockwall? How long was it?
Well,
I think it's more than that.
05.
It's 22 years in Rockwall, but I wasn't coaching all of those years.
Right, but okay.
So, started 89, 90, all the way to 2005.
Okay, so it's actually like 17 years.
Yeah.
Okay, as the head coach. Okay.
But, I mean, it's, I always wanted to stay in one place. When I got out of coaching, me and my friend, we ran a landscape company for 5 years. And it was very lucrative when it started. And then in 1987, the economy just dove. And we knew, I even told him in 85, look, I'm going to pick you up in the morning, and I'm taking you, and we're taking the TCAT test, which was a competency test teachers had to take to keep their certificate. And he goes, I ain't teaching anymore. And I said, you don't know that you're not teaching anymore. You're going with me. So we went over to Brian Adams and took the test and everything. So we're coming back, and we realized we're coming back from the Nelton Boys camp out, and we stopped for a hamburger at Whataburger in Rockwall. And I said, man, I'm going back into coaching. And he goes, where? I said, I don't know, a little town like this, they got one school. You don't go into a supermarket and everybody wonders if you're an Eagle, if you're a Mustang, if you're a Ram, if you're a Wildcat. You're all Yellow Jackets. I said, this is where I'd like to, someplace like this, and for it to turn out to get a job in Rockwall.
And stay that long.
Yeah, and stay that long.
That's kind of like the buddy that said, I just want to go to college.
Right.
I guess I'll coach here.
Right.
So they got a good Whataburger.
And the impact that he's had, though, because the field's named after him, he's got the scoreboard. His name's on the scoreboard.
It's sitting at that Whataburger. If someone had said, your name's going to be on the field.
On the scoreboard.
On the scoreboard.
Pour your bourbon out.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get off the radar here for a little bit. We always talk about, especially before the games, we're talking about a lot of stuff. In fact, even during the broadcast, we'll
movies.
Yeah, we talk about movies. We talk about, we joke around about, hey, we're going to try to squeeze the game in as much as possible, but we got a lot to discuss.
We're without a doubt the most unprofessional baseball broadcast team in Texas.
So many. I feel so bad because either one of us will be talking about something and then I have to come back and go, oh yeah, Jenkins just struck out and we ended up scoring 2 runs there. But let's go back to that movie that we watched. Anyway, so we talk about a lot of stuff, but wildest conspiracy theory that you believe? Is there a conspiracy theory out there that you're like, man, I think that might be right?
Well, you knew I was drug into the Alex Jones deal, don't you?
Right.
By CNN.
How?
I taught him.
It was on a documentary.
Yeah, he was in my class.
What, as you think about him looking back, what did you think about it?
Looking back, I didn't think he would ever be what he is. I mean,
is he smart?
He was very smart. He's opinionated, and the only thing weird that he did was the deal with turning his tongue black. I thought that was a parlor trick. I didn't know how he was pulling it off, but he'd stick his tongue out and shake his head like Kiss, and it was wild. It was really wild. And when he got in this fight with I don't even know what you would call the guy. He wasn't a bully, but he was well respected for just being a tough guy. He didn't play football or any sports. He was just, you would call him toughest guy in the school. Well, Alex turned him upside down and pile drived him into the concrete floor. And he was a freshman. And so that's where anytime he's talking about his childhood or his school days, he goes to that.
So do you believe one of his, because he's got a lot of theories out there.
I don't know that I'm, man, my conspiracy theory is political, and
that's fine.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, because like last week we talked about it. Rodney thinks there's aliens, right? We also, I think me and Trey talked about
Bigfoot.
We talked about Bigfoot, and I kind of might buy into the Bigfoot thing.
One's just hard for me to.
I did buy into the dinosaur in the Loch Ness, the Loch Ness monster.
You think that is maybe there?
I think that's real.
Somebody would have caught that thing by now.
No.
Because even that photo has been known to now it's a fake. We all confirmed it's a fake. The guy that did it said he was a fake.
Is it?
Yeah. But the Bigfoot, I don't know. But anyway, so is there one out there that's off the charts? You're like, man, I don't like. Did we land on the moon?
You know what? I thought people were nuts when they said that was a conspiracy. But you start looking at shadows and knowing how studios work and stuff like that.
Because you're really tech savvy. You know how that works.
Yes. Yeah. And you go to the footprint.
Right.
The first footprint on the moon, and then you look at the bottom of their shoes and they don't even match.
So you think there's a chance that was faked?
I'm saying I'm 50-50.
Oh, wow.
I'm 50-50.
Because my theory on that is there's so many people that have to do it. Nobody's going to keep their mouth shut for that long.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You know how many people would have to keep the lie going?
Right.
And their spouses.
And you're going to make tons of money if you let it go. If you write the book and say, hey, I've got the proof.
Let's say
you're in.
Let's say you've been given tons of money already.
But you can still make more.
Can you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've seen people.
Okay.
You've seen people. But, okay. So that's interesting. So you may be 50-50 on the moon landing.
I am 100% convinced that the 2020 election was not fair at all.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's not fair at all.
All right. I think I don't think it's just 2020. I think there's been numerous elections that are not
2016
valid.
wasn't.
Right. I think that there's a lot of things that I really worry now that we have the electronic voting and how that can be manipulated so easy.
Well, you have the tech people come on television, on big time TV shows, and say, you could sway that 10 million votes within 3 minutes.
Yes.
And so, what do you believe?
Well, sometimes I wonder, do we really choose the president, or is he chosen by those in power?
I agree. I think at one point we did, but I don't know if we do anymore. Now, I will go back to when Trump won. I can't imagine that the people that were in charge would want him as president.
Well, look how divided we've become.
Yeah. And so now, I don't know. I just think it's a huge mess. I think the thing that bothers me about all these things, too, is my mother-in-law was the county clerk forever, Paulette Burks. She counted the votes by, they had paper ballots all the time. And at 7 o'clock, she had the early votes ready. And so at 7 o'clock, here's the early votes. Here's the numbers. And then around 7:30 to maybe 8 o'clock, she had everything. Now we have an electronic where you're supposed to just stick a thing in and we ain't getting results till 10 p.m. and all that. And it bothers me that what's going on. Now, I'm not saying anybody around here is doing anything. I'm just saying I feel like we've bitten off more than we can chew as far as the electronic. How many times do we hear, well, the voting machines aren't working, they're down, or something like that? They used to not be. You just stuck a piece of paper into a slot.
It's too simple up there. It's too simple up there for that to be a problem.
Right.
And so that's what we know. That's our knowledge gap that we have is at our own place. Well, there's no problem there.
Right.
And so that's what makes me wonder, how could you be having a problem
with
a scan card?
Right.
Yeah, it just doesn't, when you vote that way, it doesn't feel right. You go in there, the screen, you click.
You feel like it can be manipulated.
Yeah, everything we know about computers. It's a very simple program. And I always kind of leave like, I hope that counted.
Right.
I hope the computer got it.
Right.
I mean, it's almost, I agree with you, I'd rather darken in a circle.
Yeah.
Well, and we used to have that option. Now we don't have that option. We used to have it. Do you want to do paper or do you want to do the computer?
Yeah.
And now I always I chose the paper because at least I was doing something and I knew that I've stuck it into now I know they're still sticking it in computers, install that later, but I agree. It worries me about how working with computers all the time, I know how easily I can manipulate stuff. And I can't imagine these people out there that are so advanced. Are we wasting our time, or is it counting? I don't know.
Right, and we really will never know.
I don't think so.
But if you think that the people that have the true power, which we don't know who they are,
right,
that if they don't want something to happen, that it's going to happen. There's just, I firmly believe that they truly have control.
Because, and the reason I agree with that is a whistleblower nowadays means nothing.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
It never seems to go anywhere.
I get letters daily, to donate. And I wrote on one, when I see someone convicted, I will resume my donations and mail it back.
Right.
And all they do is accuse somebody. They don't ever take anybody the full 9 yards. And that's ridiculous.
Well, you're right. And that Mike Ritland, who was going to be on here, but now we have the next best thing as a Navy SEAL is Randy, as we talked about. But he has a great quote where he says, blowing out somebody else's candle doesn't make your candle any brighter. And I feel like that's what we do now is it's all about, well, let's just trap that guy. Don't look at me. you got to look at that guy or that girl. And we used to be the opposite. It used to be, here's what I want to do. And now it's not that anymore. Let's just make all the other people look bad. And it's a problem. Now we kind of got on the deep end here with all the, the politics and stuff. But, it is a problem. So, okay, now let's go to something a little different too, that I've known you for a while. And I can't come up with, well, maybe I could come up. What is the one thing that scares you the most? Like if somebody said, we're going to go do this, or we're going to show you this, or you're going to be in this place. What is the scariest thing in the world to you?
Man, I'm afraid of the dark.
Really?
Yes. Deathly afraid of the dark.
That is funny.
Like at home?
Anywhere. I didn't want to come back here till one of y'all opened that door.
We noticed it took you a very long
I
time.
went to the back door. I disturbed your daughter and your wife, and
yeah, he was wearing the red shorts, which was weird. That you talked about the workout shorts.
I said, I don't see any lights on, and she said, well, they have everything's blacked out.
Right.
Well,
that worried
scared number 2.
Oh, it's like you look at this place and.
Well, I don't know, every time I come over, I'm like, well, Jay must not be in the studio because it's all black. And then I'll go to the house, and Alice is like, no, Jay's in the studio.
I mean, I don't have a hard time admitting that, but there's a lot of people that are afraid of the dark.
Yeah, I can see people being afraid of it. I'm not really too afraid, but I could see that. My daughter is, I think a little bit like that because she's always, make sure the porch light's on when I come home.
I slept with a light on in my closet till I was 12.
Really?
Yeah. You bet I did. And some of those clothes started looking like people, and I said, I've got to come up with another idea. That ain't working.
Your mind can run away with you real quick.
All right, let's go back. I want to go back to, what did your parents do for a living?
My dad was he was a lineman. Ended up being a supervisor for a plant with TU Electric, but he started DP&L.
Favorite song, Wichita Lineman? Was that his favorite song?
Well, he liked it, but that wasn't his favorite song. Patsy Cline Crazy was his favorite song.
That's a good one. All right.
My mom was secretary. She worked for Cardinal Pools. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cardinal Pools. They were big time back in the day. And then she was with the Richardson Independent School District tax office.
Yeah.
She was with them for 30 years.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she doesn't smoke.
That's what I was going to get to. I think the only time Randy was ever really mad at me.
Oh, man.
I made a joke. Got to meet his lovely mom a few years ago. It actually was a game at Richardson, wasn't it? Yeah. We're in the playoffs. We're playing Richardson. And a lot of times when you do baseball, there's not booths. So you're at a table up against like a fence, a dugout, or a net. And you got all your equipment out there in the outside, and you're doing it. And so I get to meet his mom. She's at the game. She still lived in Richardson. And so she came over, and then she went back and sat down. So I kind of know where she's at sitting in the stands. And they hit a foul ball. Somebody hit a foul ball, and it got near her. And I said, oh, my goodness, that ball's right near Coach Talley's mom. What a great reaction. She put her cigarette out and got out of there. And immediately he's like, she does not smoke. She has never smoked.
You can't go after a man's mom.
And to this day, every time I mention his mom, he's like, she does not smoke. I felt so bad. Because a lot of my bits are with cigarettes, and so I just threw that in. He always gets on to me about that.
I don't even like saying the word.
You don't even like saying cigarette?
No.
Unless we're talking about Del Downham.
Well, I will say it every once in a while. Then I call them Reds. I won't call them cigarettes.
Okay, there you go. Call them Reds. Okay, so growing up, your parents, you grew up all in Richardson, though. You didn't move or anything. You all were right there.
No, we lived right there from 1956 to my mom passed away in 2021 or 2022, and they lived there the whole time.
Brothers and sisters?
One sister, Donna, lives in Poetry.
Okay. What does she do?
school district. She got her retirement, and also got a retirement from the Department of Defense as a school teacher on a Marine base.
Oh, wow.
She taught on a Marine base.
Okay,
overseas.
very cool. That's cool.
All different countries: Japan, Spain.
So the whole family was involved with education and
Yeah,
and all
my
that.
dad was a coach, a youth league coach, and
Did he coach you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Matter of fact, I came home one day because he started out every practice with, we're going to run around the tennis courts, which was, probably a mile to get around the tennis courts and back to where we were, probably a half mile. But it seemed like a mile back then. And whoever was the first three got to lead cow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always one of the first three. I never got to lead cow.
Just because it's dad.
Because he was my dad.
And did you ever ask him?
And he did not want to show any
Right.
favoritism whatsoever. And I was in the starting backfield, but when we got ahead and people started getting thrown in the game, I was the first one pulled out.
Yeah.
First one pulled out. And one day I had enough, and I came home, and I'm sitting there in my football uniform. My mama goes,
How old are you? What age is this?
I'm 10.
Okay.
It's my third year to play for him.
Uh-huh.
She goes, what are you doing? And I said, I quit. She goes, no, you didn't quit. You've taken a break, which you're going to have to pay for, but you didn't quit. What's the matter? And I told her the story, and she said, so what? Get out there and do what you're supposed to do. And I said, all right. So I rode my bicycle back to the park, and they were still practicing. And I went up there, and he just walked by me, and he said, you'll pay for that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I knew that was going to be a trip to the garage.
Back in our day, too, how did he whip you? What was his
Belt.
Belt? Okay.
Yeah.
Ours was belt. Or you picked your switch.
And,
Did you ever have to go pick your switch?
My mother did the pick and switch.
Okay.
And it was always Peachtree.
Yeah.
But my dad, he was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coming out of
the
the
loops. Yep. My dad would do the pop thing.
He didn't do that.
Oh, he'd do the pop thing. That'd scare you.
That's a
My
military
mom
deal.
did the buckle side of the belt.
Oh, ouch.
And, you'd always cover yourselves in it.
Yes. Yeah, because you naturally would stick your hands
Yeah.
back there. And, yeah. Oh, that's funny. We whipped our kids with ping pong paddles. And we didn't realize then they get older and we're now, you don't whip after a certain age and everything. And we're like, you want to play ping pong? Nah,
They don't
we're good.
touch a paddle.
Yeah, nah, we're good.
know-
and I think we scarred them, with
And
that.
parents do not spank kids nowadays.
No, you go to jail.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll get reported. Yeah.
You know,
But in our
you know-
day, it was like if you didn't spank your kid, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know the little bounce back ball?
Yes.
Okay, well, the first time I spanked Dallas, it broke right in half. And so I glued two of them together. They broke right in half, so I glued three of them right together, and it was okay, but I could never find it until he left after graduating from high school, and all of my paddles were under between his mattress and his box springs.
That's smart.
But the kids in the shop, they made me a paddle and drilled Dal, D-A-L, in the face of it, and that was always called the Dow paddle at our house.
Okay, how many kids?
Two.
Two kids. You got Dallas.
Dallas is the youngest. He was born in 86. Elaine's the oldest. She was born in 84.
And her name was not tattooed until she got angry. And then-
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So then you had to get
forced
Dallas
that
on
one.
there.
She's a teacher in Roy City.
Another education, yeah.
And Dallas is a tri-certified law enforcement officer, fireman, and paramedic. I think he has a little left on his paramedic, but at Heath.
But I know that they
Yeah.
watch the broadcast. They'll chime in.
Yeah.
And we'll give them a shout out. So that's pretty cool. How'd you get Dallas? How's Dallas's name? How'd you come up with that?
I had our basketball coach at Sam Houston, Bob Williams. His son was named Dallas Williams. Well, he named his son Dallas Williams because everybody at East Texas called him Dallas, called Bob Dallas, because he was from TJ. And so he named his son Dallas Williams. And I thought to myself, man, what a great name for a kid.
Yeah.
And so I named him Dallas. My nephew is named Houston. His son is named Bowie.
That's great.
We have a Melissa, we have a Donna, and we started writing down all these names, and we've got like 15 city names.
You got the entire state there.
And not one of them was named after a city.
Really?
No.
It just happened.
It just happened.
Oh, that's great.
Like Houston, you know, his name was Frank Houston Ferris III.
Uh-huh.
So and Houston was just his grandfather's middle name.
That is funny.
And so everybody thinks, you know, we're having another kid. You going to have a city? And I go,
That's not what it was about.
oh, I have Wiley too.
Oh, that's right.
And
that's right.
She spells Wiley, W-Y-L-E-E.
Uh-huh.
So,
Randy, I wanted to ask you, you know, we kind of touched on kids today don't get spanking.
Mm-hmm.
Which, did you ever get spanking?
I did.
Okay.
I want to say this.
Real quick, this is Caden DeShong.
Yes,
I knew the DeShongs would.
Sea Dog.
No, my dad was a spanker. Now, I will say, they deny how many times they did it.
All parents do. We all act like it was a couple times, maybe.
I remember, I can tell you all the times I've been spanked. It's more, I want to say it's like above 20, but it's definitely like 10, 15 but they say 3 times.
Yeah, no. All parents do that. We always lower it. We always round it down. Yeah.
Was it Eddie? Was he the spanker?
It was my dad. And I remember once
Eddie DeShong.
My mom was like, you better stop or he's going to come in here. And I remember she got him to spank me, but then she saw how hard he spanked me. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That was a joke.
I was like, but no, he used hand. He used a hand.
Oh, wow.
He was a hand guy.
Wow. See, I never did that. Other than the spur of the moment. One time I remember I whipped Cash with a Hot Wheels track. It was the only thing within reach. You know, and you get mad, and all of a sudden you just grab their arm, and there's a Hot Wheels track. Still have one of the little things slid inside of it. You know, you connect them, just start going to town, and and you don't think about man, that's something he plays with. That's his toy. He
doesn't like Hot Wheels.
He stayed with the Hot Wheels. He stayed with that. But no, I can picture Eddie doing the open hand. Spank.
And that was terrifying. Terrifying.
Former offensive lineman wasn't he an offensive lineman at Abilene Christian? Yeah, at ACU. So it was some power coming in there. Now, the thing that was the scariest, though, if y'all remember, was when you got in trouble and mom was just home and like, well, wait till your dad gets home. That was the worst. Just waiting. The anticipation of this is going to...
My dad got home at 4:30, and I knew that time well, and I knew the sound of his car.
Yes. Or I always think about this. The Saturday mornings, this wasn't whippings, but especially when you start getting in the preteens and teenage years, you want to sleep, and it's Saturday morning. And you would hear your mom, hey, may want to get up, and all that. But you hear the dad's footsteps, and you're up. You're ready to go down the hallway. But it was always early Saturday morning, and be like, what are we doing? You're going to help me fix the mower. All right. And you get there, and you are not doing anything. I just remember standing there watching him, and I'm like, "Can I go back to bed?" No, you're helping me. I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching you. Now, hand me that. And you'd hand it. That wasn't the only thing you did for like an hour, but it was like, no, I'm up, you're up, and you're going to do this with me, and there's no questions asked. Just this is what you do.
So kids no doubt have changed through the years.
Oh yeah.
So and nobody's probably got a better firsthand view of that than you through all of those years. What was it like? What were the kids like when you started? What were they like when you left? And also, how did the game change?
I'm going to tell you something, and I just said this the other night, and I'm a firm believer in this. I can look back to a TV show, and there's more than just one, but there was a main one. It led to the downfall of youth and society, and that was Beavis and Butthead. When that came on, attitudes as a teacher and your students interacting between the two got completely off the tracks.
That's a great point.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
So you were kids, would you say they got softer through the years? Athletically? I know the skill. Did the skill continue to get better and better, and they would surprise you?
Well, that was because of the select world, the select and the individualized coaching. The teachers, the instruction that they're being able to get in front of now, and the team travel. And, you get a kid right now, he could be 8 years old, and he could be playing 120 games.
Yeah. Do you agree with
in
that?
a year? No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I am a firm proponent of a kid playing more than one sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think going to one sport is just not good. I think you put all your eggs in one basket.
And I just remember, and I'm sure you're the same way, when you played a season, or whatever sport it was, by the end of that season, I remember I loved playing football. But man, basketball seems to come on. I was kind of getting excited. Okay, I'm glad football's over. Let's play basketball. Then you're into basketball. All right, we got baseball. It was a good thing to change things. I can't imagine these kids, and if you raise kids now, you got to pick that sport pretty early, and we're going to do it constantly, and we're going to pay a lot of money, and I just don't see how it.
You don't just decide, I guess we're going to play baseball when you're in 7th grade. That's way too late.
I just think your 7th grade is way too late to make the decision.
It's happening already.
Right.
It's happening in elementary school.
Right.
They are kids that are led into that path and that path only when they are in elementary school. And
think about it. It is the parent's decision. The kid doesn't make that decision.
Right.
The kid will do whatever he wants to do. It's the parents a lot of times that are making that decision. And you see them now, they play these Pee-wee leagues or whatever. They've already got posters. They've got music. They got all the things that back in our day, you strive to get to. Now it's given to them at 10 years old. Age. And what do you got to play for? What are you looking for?
I'll tell this story a couple of days ago, but it's so on topic. It was about 2007. I'd been out of coaching for a couple of years, and a friend asked me if I wanted to coach a select team, 9 and under, I believe, 10 and under. And I said, yeah, I'll do that, So we had the parents and the kids and everybody it was a catfish place right there at Bobtown.
Okay.
And it's been several other things since then. But
I'm going to go on a limb and say Catfish King.
Catfish King is what it was.
Might be, yeah. And so we go in there, and everybody eats, and then it comes time for me to talk to the parents. And we had 10 players. That's all it was, 10 players. And you could play 9 and have an extra hitter. So everybody was going to get to play. Playing time wasn't an issue. And I said, this is the way I'm going to do it, and I'm going to lay it out for you here. But y'all need to make up your mind tonight whether you want me to come back. But every kid on this team is going to play every position on this team unless you're left-handed. If you're left-handed, you're not going to catch. And you're not going to play on the left side of the infield or second base. You're not going to play on the infield unless it's first base. And you won't be just a leadoff hitter. You won't be a cleanup hitter. You won't be a 9-hole hitter. You're going to rotate throughout 1 through 9. You're going to 1 through 10. You're going to hit all the way up and down the line. Well, the players, if you put them in athletically of their capabilities, number 6 through 10, they were elated. My kid's going to lead off, so they've been batting him 10th and playing him in right field.
Right.
1 through 5, those were the skeptics. Those were the skeptics because, my son has always been a top 3 hitter.
Right.
My son's always been the shortstop on every team he's ever played on. Well, how many teams could you have played on when you're 10 years old? Not many, So anyway, we had a successful season, and I've had those parents come up to me, gosh, I bet it was 10 years ago now, and their kids are, out of college, played college ball, married, got kids, and those parents have come and says, that was our best year ever because all 10 of those kids learned what all 10 positions were doing during the course of just a simple base hit to left field. Everybody knew where to go and what to do, who to back up, who to be the cutoff man, who to be here, who to be there. It was amazing that they had that knowledge, and they're old enough to learn that then.
And you're also learning to be a team player.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest miss, I think, that we have now.
Yeah.
Is the mentality. Now, I feel like we look at the Rockwall baseball team and Heath also, those look like teams. Like they play. It seems to me when you talk to those kids, they're all in because they have good coaches, and those coaches are showing them that you may not play here or do this, but this is best for the team. You'll get your moment here or whatever. But there's so many teams that we see that we'll play against, baseball, football especially. We'll see a football team that has way more talent than we got. And we're beating the hell out of them because they're not playing as a team. They're all a bunch of individuals out there. And I think that's what's lost a lot, that what I see. And do you agree with that? Do you see that?
I do. And my eyes were opened up so much in this last year, and it all stems from Rodney going to Heath. And all of the, the banter back and forth, that was going to happen. And I knew that was going to happen. But I know I subbed over at Heath, so I knew a lot of the Heath people. And my grandsons play youth football over there on the Heath side of town. So now I'm getting these coaches who have kids the same age as my grandson, and I'm getting to know them, and I'm going, God, I love this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is fantastic. I called Rodney, and I said, dude, you have got to quit hiring people I'm falling in love with because
You don't want to do it.
I'm having a real hard time having animosity built up toward Heath when these guys are so great.
Right.
I mean, they're unbelievable. So, and Rodney, he's just so good. And Waxahachie playoff game. I don't know what round that was. Third round?
Last year?
This year.
This year was second round.
Second round was Waxahachie. Okay, playing them at Allen. And Billy says, yeah, come on up in the booth. Well, the booth is less than this. I mean, it
was tiny.
It was like that. And I look next door, and there's the Rockwall coaches. You could put 40 people in there.
Right.
And I said, hey, I'm not going to mess with y'all at the broadcast. I'm going to go next door. So I go next door, and I talked to a couple of guys who played for me, and then it's getting ready for game time. And I came from Richardson, predominantly Alan Holliday at Berkner and Mike Jenkins at Pierce. And both of them were well known and respected. And when I came to Rockwall and had that 5-year hiatus, well, the game had changed quite a bunch. And every coach on the Rockwall staff was either 30 or below, 29 or 30, right in there. And I was 37. So I was the old guy. And I'm learning things that I never even heard of my first 9 years as a coach. And like Joe Avisano for the Cowboys, he was at A&M. Flint was at A&M. Flint learned everything he knew from Joe Avisano and Slocum. And so he was, and they all of them had just got out of playing college ball. And so I go into this booth, and I'm watching the Rockwall offensive coordinator. And I didn't know his name, but I was just watching him. And he's got a tick, he gets his arms out of his sleeves, and they're going 90-0. He is constantly just like that, and these guys on both sides of him are doing the same thing. My head's spinning around like the Exorcist, and I'm going, oh my God. They took that step I had been on, and they went to that right there. And on the way home, I called Rodney, and I said, my gosh, I know y'all are doing the same thing at Heath.
That's Drew Colvin, offensive coordinator.
That's right.
Great guy and done incredible things. But yeah, I even look at it now. Like when I played, and I know when you played, it wasn't close to what it is now.
Fred Flintstone, Barney Rubble.
Right. I joke around during the broadcast when we'll now and then the Jackets will huddle, and I'll have to go, okay, for those of y'all that aren't familiar, this is called a huddle. It's where the players get together before the play, and they'll have a play called, and they'll discuss, because that's what we did. Nowadays, you don't do that. You don't do all, and it's crazy, but it is so advanced, and it shows the capability of the kids, of the players,
I'm telling
that they
you
can
right
comprehend
now,
it.
you cannot stay out 5 years like
No,
I did.
no.
And then come back in and pick it up.
And you talked about the Heath thing. We talked about this our last podcast. Rodney always gets on me. You rooting for us? I go, hey, you're a rival now. I'll give him. We love kicking each other around about it. But on the other side of it is, but I like so many people over there, and I'm rooting for them. Mm-hmm. And your whole combat is, okay, I need all these folks, including coaches and these families. I want them to do well. That means the team's going to win. That means he's going to win, but I don't want them to win over us and all that. You have this battle, this interior. But I love the rivalry, and and the thing that makes this rivalry unique is that everybody knows everybody. Most rivalries you don't.
It's fun and good natured.
It is, and it's fun. It's fun. And that's what's so great about Rodney is that I can just, as you saw in the last podcast, and I still do it, I give him such a hard time. I compared him to Benedict Arnold, and we joke around about it. And he'll compare, and he always gives me a hard time about how easy my job is as a graphic designer. And so,
you just doodle.
Yeah, you just doodle. How do you make money doing that? And so that's what's great. But Rodney has that same, and Trey, here, and all our coaches. I look at Barry Rose, and I look at Greg Harvey. I had and you sit there and you admire Greg Harvey so much and what he's done over there. He took a program that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And he has 2 state championships. And I didn't even count all the times last year.
Played for a third.
And so it's an incredible job. We talk about Rockwall's consistency. Heath has the same consistency and has taken it a notch up.
Harvey calls me a couple of days before every Rockwall Heath game and said, well, who are you for? I said, come on, man.
That's what Rodney does to me.
He goes, who are you for? Who do you want to win? I said, I'm orange. And he goes, yeah, but come on. I'm not going to tell anybody. Tell me. Say it.
I don't know if I told you this. I go and I surprise Coach at his induction, at the Hall of Fame induction. So I show up. And so there's no seat really. Other people he had, that had interest, he could get them seats. So, but there's seats available. So I'm like, okay, I got to go find a seat. Well, there's a table, and it's Coach Harvey and Melissa, his wife, and then all other Heath people at this table. And there's a seat available. So I go, hey, Coach, I've done my share of joking around about Heath and giving them a hard time and all that stuff. And so he's great. And so he's like, yeah, I sit with us. So I sit down, and he kind of quickly, he goes, hey, this is Billy Quinton. I'm like, I'm Billy Quinton and everything. And all the Heath people that are there, the coaches and stuff. And like, hey, good to meet you. And then finally one of them goes, wait, are you cue ball? And I go, yeah. And then it all changed. And then they're like, okay, all right. Okay. And it was great, though. I love that stuff. I love it. And so, and then, I found another seat. I got to sit next to AJ and Jack Ford and Connie. And so I told Harvey, I go, I know you're going to miss me, but I'm going to jump over to this table. And going in Harvey's mind was like, am I going to sit through this whole thing with this Rockwall, knucklehead, right next to me? I want to enjoy myself. But he was great. He comes over to me. We took a picture, and I sent it to Rodney and said, I'm thinking about coming over, but I have some demands. And, I've already talked to Coach Harvey and stuff like that. So we joke around about that stuff. But that's what I love about this. And you have it embedded more than anybody because of you, we had Coach Harvey go over to Heath. It was your decision, and then Coach Payne take over Rockwall, and both of them were incredibly successful, and under your tutelage as assistant coaches before. Yeah,
they're both of them so capable, and Brian Gaffney. And my coaching tree, I wrote it down, and I wished I would have kept it. But the people that have become head coaches, David Allen, DJ Horn. Just Brian Gaffney. I mean, there's just tons of them who have had their own programs now. Russell Crossland going to Wills Point. He was one of mine.
Yes.
And it just, I've got about 13 that were from assistants to head coaches. And that makes a coach happy. Mm-hmm. And you have to be at that point to where when someone says they want to leave, you have to be happy for them.
Yeah, that's the whole goal.
It's absolutely the goal. Mm-hmm. And people who hadn't been in those shoes, they don't understand that.
That was our conversation with Rodney. You have the fan that is the fan for life. Nothing's going to change. They're orange forever. Rodney or any other coach does not look at it that way.
No.
It's their job. Mm-hmm. But they're going to get, a lot of heat.
Jeff told me early, back when he first started, that his goal every year was for his job to be better than it was the year before. And it always was. You know, I was always able to, if I could help, I would. I'd get him out of another class. I'd get him in off-season baseball. I'd do anything I could do to make sure that next step was, you know,
Well, the
better.
thing that we're blessed with is the football game between Rockwall and Heath is off the charts. But baseball is just as much off the charts when those two teams play. And then when they play in the playoffs, it's
so packed.
The talent in this area is crazy.
Right.
That's what amazes me when we go down there to those clinics, and people's first question always is, Rockwall is the smallest county in the whole state, and you've got two teams that are in the top 5 every year in baseball.
Pretty crazy.
Tell me how that happens, and it's just consistency.
And
you know?
you think about Rockwall, if it wasn't for Heath, Rockwall's probably playing for a couple state championships. But their 2 years, they had Heath takes the series.
I got to coach the only half Rockwall, half Heath team. And they were the best team I ever had in 2005. 2004 was just as talented. In fact, they were Rockwall and Heath as well, but we had some bad luck, you know.
How much does luck play into success when you coach? Because I've talked to, Joey Florence has talked about that sometimes. He goes, you go and win a state championship, you're going to look back and say, man, we got a couple breaks there. And a lot of it is, of course, what you prepare. But do you say luck is involved with some of these things?
Like Joey, I'd hate to use the word luck.
Right.
Breaks is a better
Breaks is
a better word.
Right.
I'd say about 10% in a baseball game is breaks, good breaks. Could be a call, could be a ball, hitting chalk, not hitting chalk, the decision on whether it did or not. There's no replay in high school baseball. And we know that even though Ron Merritt had the infamous do-over back in the day.
What was the do-over?
Oh my gosh. Greatest moments.
Did he
Ron is such a good guy, and he's an umpire,
Do you
and he's
know Ron?
outstanding.
What's that?
Do you know Ron Merritt?
No, I don't
Okay.
know.
All right, he's awesome.
Yeah. But he wasn't behind the plate in this game. He was
still the chief.
Yeah, he was.
He was the chief at third base.
Third base. And
Third
basically, we're playing Copper's Cove in Waxahachie. And it was I don't remember what the play was, but it was very chaotic. It was a
bases loaded.
Right. And you tell him, what was it?
Well, it was bases loaded and a pickoff play at second base. And everything, ball was thrown away, ball was caught, man was tagged. Everything was just blown up.
It was chaotic. There's no way you can keep up.
And the bottom line was, there's different rules in high school baseball and college baseball. The guy at second base was a college umpire. And he made the call how it would be called in a college game, which caused this guy to come on home and score from third base, which if he had not made that call, that guy would have stayed there. And it was just like a fishing rod. You know, ever had an open face fishing rod? Just rat's nest.
Right.
You know, and Ron got everybody together, and I was telling Billy, I said, he's fixing to pull a do-over. And he goes, no, he's not. I said,
yeah, that's what I said. Like, there's no way you can't say do-over.
There's never been a do-over in baseball.
Right.
And by gosh, he talked to Barry, he talked to Copper's Cove. Everybody went back, and it was where it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. I mean, the poor pitcher makes a great pickoff move or whatever, you know. I mean, it's all these things that all these players, the players that score, all these great things are happening for both sides.
It was absolutely the right thing to do.
It really was.
Yeah.
Because there was no way you're going to get through that.
No, you couldn't recreate it.
But of course now
you couldn't fix it. But
now, if anything bad happens, we're like, well, if Ron was here, we do it over. You know, I mean, to say, hey, that didn't happen. You know, so yeah, it's great. Okay, we cannot go. We talked about your family. We talked about your kids. We cannot go without you talking about the lovely Beth Talley.
Beth Talley.
Yeah, and tell us how you met her. I know the story, but and how long y'all been married?
40. It will be 43
That's
years
great.
in November.
Yeah.
Playing golf, one of my coaching buddies from Burton, you ever going to get married? And we were at Sherrill Park in Richardson. I don't know if you're a golfer.
Did a long time.
Okay. So
Jay knows nothing about sports, by the way.
I wouldn't say nothing.
Okay.
He's learning.
Some. He knows some. I had to explain to him what a 2-point conversion was the other day in
all right.
football.
You just reminded me. I knew, but I just needed to remind.
But go ahead. So when you say things to Jay and you throw out a baseball term, Jay has 2 hamsters playing ping pong in his head.
It's not that.
I remember when we first started together doing broadcasts. I'd say something and you would be like,
I'm like your assistant coach when you started talking about the sunset.
Yes, sunset. To this day, now we're together for 17 years or whatever, 16 years, and he'll still say something. And I'm like, what? What's he talking about? I've never heard that word before. So go ahead.
So he said, "Are you ever going to get married?" And I'm watching this girl train a horse, and she's got dust flying everywhere, and the horse's hoofs are going. And I said, "I'll tell you what, if I could meet a girl like that, I'd marry her tomorrow." Well, playing a ball game at Huffines Park in Richardson, and after the game, everybody goes out, on the lawn, drink a beer, whatnot. And one of my teammates, his wife was an accountant, and she graduated from Richardson High School too. And I always said, "Becky, find me a professional that I can go out with and date. I'm tired of these girls in bars. I want to meet a professional." So anyway, this girl gets up that's with her and goes to the restroom, and I go, "What's wrong with introducing me to the blonde?" And she goes, "That's my sister." And I said, "So?" And she said, "She's 20. I said, "So?" She said, "Aren't you 30? And I said, "No, I'm 29. We're still in the same 20s.
Yeah.
I said, "There's no big deal in that." So anyway, she comes back and gives me her phone number, and we go on, and we're right in the middle of two-a-days at Burtner, and you have zero time during two-a-days. You're going to get home at 11:30 at night. So school started, and a little girl came up in my class in history from the back. She said, "Beth wanted me to give you this." And I looked at it, and it said Beth Crosby and had a phone number by it. And I said, "Who is Beth?" And she goes, "You don't remember her?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Call that number." And I said, "Okay." So anyway, I put it in my pocket, and it's 3 or 4 days after that. Gonna wear that shirt again in the rotation, and I find it, and I go, So I call her, and she said, "Yeah, I was at a softball game with my sister Becky." And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I want to take you out." And she goes, "Well, when?" And I said, "Well, do you mind if we go out at like 11 o'clock? And, on a Friday?" She goes, "No, that's fine. I can stay up late." And I said, "Okay." So I get directions. There's no.
How bad is it if the date has to say, "I can stay up late. I got permission"?
There's no GPS. There's no phones. There's no pagers hadn't even been invented, and maybe they had 81.
I don't think so.
Okay. So anyway, I take the directions, and I get there, and I'm looking around, and I'm going, "Man." So I go to the door, and she comes in. I said, Do you train horses out here?" She said, "Yeah, I'm in charge of all this whole place, this Spring Park riding stables. I'm in charge of it all." I said, "Oh my gosh." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Man, I told a friend if I ever met you, I'd marry you." And she said, "Well, why don't we just see how that goes?"
Wow.
So we go out and come back, and she says it was the second date. I still think it was the first date, but I said, "Look, when I say something, I mean it. What do you do in the next 60 or 70 years?" And we've been married 43 years.
So
That is a good story.
So We've got about 17 more years with her, and then she can go, because you said 60 or 70, so at 60,
That's right. You can put a limit on it.
At 99, I promised her priest at Episcopal. She's an Episcopalian.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Catholic who failed Latin.
Right. Catholic.
I promised him in head to head that I'd give it 70 years.
Okay, good.
All right.
Good.
And I looked at her and I said, when I'm 99, I'm gone. If you don't treat
Put
me
up
right.
the picture of him from his younger days. Is this the guy that asked her out? I want to know. I found this photo.
Oh, my gosh.
There is that the one that asked her out?
That's the guy right there.
So you didn't tell me that at one point you were a motorcycle cop. I didn't even realize that.
He was right off a chip.
Yeah,
Trying
he's
to
like,
be Riley Finger.
look at that mustache, man. That's greatness. And that hair.
That is the 70s personified right there.
What year is that? Or what?
That is 1979.
Okay. All right.
1979.
Where are you at?
Good
Where's that
era.
I was at Berkner.
at? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
79. Is that you were born then?
I was 75.
75. Okay. Cowboys lost Super Bowl 10 in 75. Yeah. 21-17 to the Steelers.
Did
Anyway.
you know both 75 and 77? I went to both those Super Bowls.
Did you really?
And do you know how much the face value was on both my tickets?
I'm
$10.
15.
35.
35. How did you end up
$35.
going? Did you just... Because back then it wasn't as hard to get a ticket, was it?
Well, the first one, the Super Bowl 10, one of my students at Liberty, she said, guess where I'm going this weekend? I said, I don't know. She goes, Super Bowl. And I said, oh, my God, I'd do anything to get to go to the Super Bowl. Well, her dad ran all the Red Coleman liquor stores in Dallas.
Oh, wow.
And so he had an in with the Cowboys. And I had got her away from a motorcycle guy who was like 17 or 18 years
Was it
old.
that guy that we just saw on the
Well,
photo?
he looked like that guy. He looked like that
Something
guy.
shady.
Yeah.
And her dad just loved me for getting me to
Yeah.
get her away from him. He calls me and said, if you can pay for your airline ticket, then we got everything else.
Wow.
I said, you count me in on paying for an airline ticket, and I think I had to take a loan out to get an airplane ticket.
So did you just go by yourself, or did
Yeah,
you
I
go?
went by myself, but I stayed in at Fort Lauderdale with all the Cowboys staff.
Okay.
All the parties we went to was with the Cowboys.
That's great.
Mike Ditka told me everybody wanted to go to the seafood restaurant. Man, you look. I had an afro too. There's some afro too.
And he had an afro then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm going to call them and I'm telling them that I'm coming to the front door. You go to the front door and you tell them Mike did a party of however many y'all have. And it was about a half mile long line to get in this seafood restaurant. I walk up there, I say that, she goes, Mr. Dicker, come on in. And you know, the waiters were doing that. I was signing Mike Ditka on everything you can think of for about 2 hours.
That's greatness.
That is
Eat.
cool.
And the second one, I told...
Real quick. Who's Mike Ditka?
He is a NFL coach.
All right, there you go. All right.
He was.
Okay, he just knew it because you just said he was a coach on the Cowboys and he threw it out there.
No, you didn't say that, did you?
No.
You said coaching staff. He talked about the coaching staff.
Yeah, well...
Well, I that one I knew.
Okay.
Now, don't ask me too much about
You
it.
remember when the Bears won the Super Bowl Shuffle?
The Super Bowl Shuffle sounds familiar.
85.
Ditka was the coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buddy Ryan got all the credit because he's the
He was
defensive
always on.
coordinator.
They made fun of him on Saturday Night Live.
Yes. Yeah. The Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on. Okay, so you were in the seafood restaurant signing on.
Yeah, but anyway, the second one is even better because as soon as the Cowboys qualified for the Super Bowl, my friend from El Paso called me and he said, we're going. I said, we're going where? He said, we're going to the Super Bowl. I said, my gosh, Glenn, you know how hard it is to get Super Bowl tickets? And he goes, you can get them. I said, I don't think I can. And he goes, do what you can. Get our flights. I'm going to handle my flight. I'll tell you when to get a flight from Dallas to New Orleans. Okay. So I'm trying everything, and I'm telling every one of my classes, if you know anybody that's got a well, I'll pay. Doesn't matter what they cost, I'll buy them. Nothing. I mean, the well is dry. And I'm leaving his mother called me and said, Glenn's at the airport. His flight has landed from El Paso. And I said, all right, I'll go pick him up. So I leave my apartment, and I'm literally one step past getting the door shut and locked, and I hear my phone ringing, my landline. And I go, oh, God, I'm going to be late. Go back in, answer it. It's a student. Coach Talley's Brian Bauer. Yeah, Brian. My sister broke her arm today, and Dad said if one of us can't go, none of us are going. He's giving you all 4 of our tickets.
Oh, wow.
I said, you got to be kidding me. He goes, no. So we get there, and we sell 2 tickets way above face value.
Right.
To pay for our whole trip.
Yeah.
And the trip is unbelievable. We would have to have a 3-hour podcast from it to tell you about the trip. But it was unbelievable.
Yeah, we can do that. We can go 3 hours.
Glenn sold his return ticket to El Paso and stayed in Dallas with me for 2 months.
Really?
Yeah.
2 months?
He was getting married in a month.
And where were they getting married?
El Paso.
Okay.
He called off his wedding. He stayed in Dallas for 2 months.
How did that go?
So what happened at the Super Bowl?
He says it's the best thing that ever happened to him.
Did he ever marry her?
Oh, no. He married somebody else.
Okay.
And it's been a love story.
Okay, good.
But not marrying that girl was the best thing that ever happened to him in his life.
Did Beth go to most of your games that you coached?
Oh, when playoffs came, yes. She wouldn't miss a playoff game.
Was she a critic?
She could. No.
Of your coaching?
No. She never said a word about baseball. She sat away from all the other parents.
How much does she know about baseball?
Nothing.
Okay.
More than me?
Y'all about the same.
Let me tell you this: when Randy starts going on his stories and things during the broadcast, I don't know how many times I'll get a text from Beth. I'm sorry. Or tell him to stop or whatever. She's giving me instructions to here's what you do.
Steer him a certain way.
Yeah. So anyway, it's
I just
great.
have so many. I think at the point where I think I have a great memory, I can't remember why I'm in a room.
Right. Right.
Why did I come in here?
Right. I'm there now.
It's just.
Well, you've seen me. I mean, a lot of it when I had COVID, my brain got foggy and messed up, and so I can't remember things short term hardly at all. And I can't tell you how many times I'm in the middle of a call and I just said the guy's name, and now I'm just stumped. I have to go find it and do it. But if somebody wants to know the starting lineup of the 75 Cincinnati Reds, I can tell you the whole lineup.
Or who won the Super Bowl in '79?
Right.
I have a friend who's a broadcaster down in Crockett, Texas, and his broadcast partners at Hargett. He was a big-time A&M quarterback. And so he's a county judge. And I promised him that I wouldn't expose him on our broadcasts. And his name's Johnny Lawrence. So we're broadcasting, and it'll be in the middle of the inning. Bill be just taking a breath, and I'll go Johnny Lawrence. Yes. And he got so paranoid.
I did.
He thought that I was waiting for him to make a mistake, because he was making a lot of simple mistakes, like 2 outs, there's 1 out, 1 out, there's no outs.
Right.
And I'd go Johnny Lawrence, and he would.
I'm just like,
you could see his head just going, what I do.
And it got to the point. Well, it was so bad when I first came back after COVID. I think it was our first game of that year. My brain's so gone that in high school you play 7 innings. Okay, so Rockwall's playing at home. If you're winning, you don't play the bottom of the 7th because you don't need to. And if you get your outs in the top of the 7th, game's over. So Rockwall is winning. They get the 3 outs. And I'm going all right, in the bottom of the 7th, Rockwall's got so-and-so and so-and-so coming to the plate. And I'm just going. Randy's already got his headset off it's over. What are you doing? And I think he thought I was kidding around. And I just kept going. I'm like, okay, let's take a timeout. And he looks at me and I'm like, well, what? And he's like, It's over. We don't play any further than 7. And this is something I've been doing forever, but in my brain it was like, we got 2 more innings, boys. Let's keep going.
That COVID threw him for a loop.
It did. And it's still
slowly getting better.
Yeah, I had to retrain how I think. I had to go to a therapist, and basically she would give me a list of whatever, animals. And she'd say, okay, repeat as many as you can remember. And I couldn't remember any of them, hardly, maybe 2 out of 10. But then she said, okay, now let's go through them again. But each one, let's act like you're walking through a zoo or whatever. And you'll remember, that this giraffe's eating a leaf and the bear is, sleeping. And that helped me. So I got to kind of do that with baseball or any broadcast. I have to kind of make a little story in my head so I can remember names and stuff. And I still screw up a lot. And God knows he'll let me know. And most of the time in broadcasting.
What's great now is I just have to go Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah, he just says Johnny Lawrence. Now, let me say, when he messes up, I'll go Johnny Lawrence.
He does.
I'll give it back to him. But I will mess up a lot, and it's just one of those things that now I'm just like, hey, man,
Did you get put on a ventilator?
No, I was close.
Really?
They were about ready to, but my oxygen level was low, and I don't want to go into it. But anyway, I was real close, but my oxygen finally started improving, so they decided to wait, and eventually it improved, and I didn't have to. But it's messed up a lot of things. But when I first came back, it's just the brain doesn't work the same way.
Yeah.
And then when Randy's over there, I always joke around with Randy when we do a broadcast. Any other broadcasters I'm working with, we're all in the boat, and everybody's rowing the same way. We're going to that point. With Randy, I'm rowing this way, he's rowing that way, and we're spinning.
So he's not helping out.
But it's a good broadcast. It's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many times my wheels are shot off. I'll be like, all right, that's the bottom of the inning. Let's go. And I'm ready to go to a break. And he's like, did I ever tell you? And he just starts talking like, we're supposed to be going to, okay, let's stay. We'll stay, and it's just fun. And I think that's what makes it hopefully appealing to a lot of people. And we'll get people, when I was at your Hall of Fame deal. I had a number of people. A lot of them I didn't know. Hey, man,
listen.
We like listening, and a lot of it, and most of it's him because
the guy says every time I'm there, Joe Ray Halsey, he's the president of the Alumni Association. He goes, if you guys have never listened to a Rockwall broadcast, do yourself a favor because you'll be downloading their schedule off the internet.
That's a good compliment.
You don't want to miss one.
We went maybe 30 minutes one time arguing over, is it Bat Masterson or Bart Masterson? Because he was adamant it's Bart Masterson. I said, no, it's Bat
right?
Masterson. I know I'm right. And he goes, it's Bart. And I'm like, no, it's Bat. And he goes, no, who would name their kid Bat? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know his name is Bat. And so we're arguing this. The baseball game's getting in the way because we're trying to solve the mystery. But yeah, there's a ton.
I sort of play the role of the Peyton brothers.
yeah, that's it.
Peyton and Eli, on our broadcast. Yes. And my friends in Huntsville, my football friends, they don't realize that I'm playing a role. And they think he's mean to me.
Right.
And they get upset.
Why do you stand for that?
Yeah, why are you letting him make fun of you? I mean, my God. Dude, it's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a shtick. That's all it is.
Well, like we talked about when me and Rodney did the fake interview earlier this year where we just ripped on each other. And he was talking, he goes, there's a lot of people that think that's real.
Sure
He goes, they think we were really mad and you were a jerk and I was and I was like, you ain't gonna please everybody. Let's just go. But no, and I think that's what makes it appealing. And he's great. It's the cornerstone of it, because it is. And he always will talk about. There's no way I don't think Randy could do football because football is a regimented. Especially with Rockwall, they come right back to the line of scrimmage. They don't huddle. They just go. And Randy's got to have time to snack and tell stories. And let's talk about the chicken fried steak and let's do all these things. And you can't do it as much in football.
You get some A's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This right here, and you'll understand this. One of our best laughs I got from my daughter. She never comments, but she said, oh, my gosh, I almost wet my pants. We were doing the regional final game at Forney, Rockwall versus Rockwall Heath. And they had their booth set right next to the dugout, and we had a booth set right next to the Rockwall dugout. Well, all of a sudden, Billy makes the call. We're moving up to the press box. We're going to set our...
Or in front of the press box.
In front of the press box. We're going to set our hunting table up and try to balance it on this bench.
Yeah.
And use duct tape, whatever we have to do to get it done.
Because we could get an Ethernet access and not do Wi-Fi. So I had to
so
make
I'm
that call.
asking Billy, I said, I don't understand. We had in the shade, great place right there by the dugout. Why are we up here? And he said, because I wanted the Ethernet connection. And I said, Billy, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to big time you here, but I think the word you're looking for is internet connection.
Was that you were thinking that was his COVID brain? He's forgotten the word internet.
He doesn't know how to say internet. And I died because he was so condescending. Billy, the word you're looking for is internet.
He thought he finally got you.
Let me tell you, I know we're just telling stories, but that's what this is all about. So I think my favorite moment is Frank Constable will go with us now and then and drive us if we're going to East Texas, which, by the way, we got the new district, so there's Longview and Tyler Legacy back in it, so we'll be heading to East Texas some more. But anyway, so we were going to do a game in Tyler at Legacy. It was Tyler Lee then. And they got a great old stadium there. It's like built in the World War II. Yeah. And it's those old-timey stadiums that it has a built-in, they don't have a press box, but they have a built-in kind of desk. So you sit in the stands, but you have this little desk that's built in. And so, and they have their poles are in the field. They're not on the other side of the fence. The poles are in the field. So a ball can hit it or a player can hit it. And it's just really cool stadium. So we're in that old made desk, and Frank is going to be on the air with us too. And so it's me and then Frank and then Randy sitting there. And the one thing we didn't realize while we're sitting under, it has a cover that goes over us. So we're normally in a booth, and so you have lighting. And so we're always doing a score sheet. Everybody's writing down a score sheet. And it starts getting dark, and we don't have any lighting. And so we go take a break, and we're coming back, and I can't see my score sheet anymore. So both me and Frank's keeping score too. Randy he does now, but back then you weren't keeping score. And so we're doing our lights on our phone to try to see it. And I look over, and we got our glasses on and everything, and I look at Randy, and Randy still has stats and stuff he's looking at. He doesn't have his glasses on, and he's not worried about it. So we come back on the air, and I said, how is it that the two people that are way younger than you can't even read our sheets, and we have to get our glasses, and we have no lighting, but you're fine? And he answers, because I don't read. And I said, I'm sorry, what? I don't read. I go, what do you mean you don't read? I stopped reading. I don't read anymore.
Don't do it.
I don't do it. I go, wait, no. You have to read. I mean, and let me remind everybody, this game is brought to you by the Rockwall ISD that promotes reading. And he goes, no, I don't read. And I was like, well, like, what about menus and stuff? I know it's there, and I'll get it. And then I remembered, I said, okay, I know one of your favorite movies is Inglourious Bastards. And about half that movie is subtitles. Mm-hmm. What do you do there? And he goes, I don't know what's going on in that part of the movie. Like, I'm just not reading.
You still don't know that
So we
part.
started promoting the Randy Talley anti-literacy campaign on his school broadcast. And
I literally said reading is overrated.
That's right. That's what it was. Reading is overrated. That was the slogan.
From the family of educators.
Right. The family of educators. Reading is overrated. And then he proceeds to tell us a story of a book report that he got a great grade on a book he never read.
Fourth grade.
Willie
Mae's story. I just started lying.
This is really good.
Yeah. I just started lying about stats and home runs and how many, base hits he had, how many stolen bases he had, and and it was only supposed to be 5 minutes, so I took it like 30 minutes. And when I sat down, the only reason I went over was I was saving my two buddies because I knew the end of the period we were going to go home.
So if you could write it
If I could write it all the way to the end of school, they could get theirs ready the next day. And when I finished, she said, that's what I call a book report.
Well, it's ironic. Later on that year, we are doing a game in Rowlett.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're kind of outside, and we got a roster, but sometimes you'll get a roster and the roster is wrong with the number. Because sometimes teams will have a different number.
A guy comes in to pitch, but he's not on the roster.
Right. So we don't know.
We don't know his number.
So
we know his number, but don't know who.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of scrambling. And all of a sudden, you hear Randy go, "Oh, that's Bobby Jones." I'm like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "It's up there on that sign. They had all the players." And I was like, "You're reading. You broke your own rule. You know, I'm all over him now. You're reading. You can read. You know." But he talks about making up stuff. He'll do that during a game for the other team.
On the coaches who don't send us anything.
Right.
They don't send us any stats or anything like that. They think we're going to win the game because we know.
So you're like, "That's Tommy Jones."
Oh, no, I'll say he went to Vanson Junior High.
He's giving like personal information.
Played second chair saxophone. He's also in the band. President of student council.
Right.
And I just start throwing out things.
It's
about
more
this
info
kid.
than we have for our players all of a sudden.
And the
He knows-
listeners are like, "Wow."
Yeah, like, wow, Randy does his research.
The other teams prepare.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Look at that prep work that Randy does. You know? So good. So, well, man, can't tell you how much we appreciate you being here.
I enjoyed it. I really did. What time is it?
I want to
Just
ask
2
you.
hours and 20 minutes.
I want to ask you one last thing before we go. All the years that you coach, is there a student, an athlete that stands out, extra hard work, and somebody
good question.
that if you think of that one kid that made an impact on you, is there one or is there too many?
There's a lot of them that. I'll tell you what, there's a kid at Bertner, and I'll make this quick. They didn't have an off-season baseball program at Bertner when they gave me the job. And I told the principal I wanted an off-season baseball program. He said, "Well, you're going to have it first period." I said, "Okay, that's fine." And so I had all these kids sign up for it, and then he brought me back in. He said, "You're really going to have to cut it to juniors and seniors. Sophomores, freshmen, no, they can't be in off-season baseball." And I said, "Can I take the very worst sophomore I have and let him be in the class and make a manager out of him? And then I'll have a manager as a sophomore and a junior and a senior. He'll step up each year, and he'll just get better and better at knowing what things are going on." He said, "Man, that'd be great." Well, I got this kid, and he was the worst. He was little and small in stature, but he wore a 12.5 shoe, and he ran a 40 in about 5.8. I mean, it was slow. And nobody ever said a word about him being the manager. But every time my drills are set up to where sometimes you have to have an even number or an odd number. And if there was ever a group that had somebody missing, he'd fill in. And so he would work all day. And he just got his license, and he had a little brother who was an 8th grader. Every time he let his little brother drive his car around the parking lot, he'd hit him another 100 ground balls. And he did that until dark every night. His little brother would hit him ground balls. He ended up being a captain for me. He made the varsity as a sophomore. And the night before we were going to have our first game, or the weekend before, he went to a party, and somebody pushed him down the stairs and he broke his arm. So he didn't get to play his sophomore year. But he played his junior year, his senior year, and he played at TCU.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, who is that?
Jay Meadows.
Okay.
He was there at the deal. He had the cowboy hat on.
Okay.
And he was there.
Okay. That is a great story.
I never called him Jay Meadows. I called him Worm. He was always Worm. But that's a guy who took his sliver of an opening and did everything he could do to better himself.
I love that.
And that's all his friends, too. Every time he talks about his friends, it's Slick Willie and One-Eyed Pete. And I'm like, is there anybody named
Thunder?
Phil? Do you have any friends that are named Bob? You know, Thunder. He's got Thunder. It's great. It's
Hammerhead.
great. Hammerhead.
Like
That's
both.
right.
I mean, everybody has a name.
And then he had. He starts talking about a guy and he goes, "Yeah, it's Buddy Cornstubble," and I'm like, "All right, right there. That's made up.
Who is he?
That's made
Buddy
up.
Cornstubble.
You are Buddy Cornstubble.
He
Oh,
called it
no. Who is he? What's your name for Billy?
cue ball.
Cubal.
Oh, that's Cubal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he mentions Buddy Cornstubble. I'm like, okay, I'm stopping right here. That's a fake name. You're just throwing out me. He goes, no, it's a real name. I was like, no, there's nobody named Buddy Cornstubble. Lo and behold, I meet Buddy Cornstubble in Mesquite a couple times. Yeah, at DBU, he comes in, shows me his driver's license to prove it. It's Buddy Cornstubble.
There's a Buddy Cornstubble.
So he doesn't know anybody named Stan Smith. There's nobody that Randy will be friends with if they have a basic American name. It's it's Prickly Pete and all those guys.
I was Whacker.
Oh, no, and you could probably put that together.
Yeah. We'll save that for next time.
Yeah, I don't know if we can bring that up on the
My
podcast.
dad called me Mo, and I never did really like that nickname.
Why'd he go Mo?
Because I had Rodney's
Oh, yeah.
photo
The haircut.
of a kid with his haircut, his bangs in the front. Well, it's comparing you to the Three Stooges, Mo had his hair down.
Sure.
And so that's why he called me Mo.
Do you
He
have a
wanted me to get a
nickname?
haircut.
Anybody call you anything different? Always Jay?
Jay Bird.
I can
Bird.
say
Jay
Jay
Bird.
Bird.
My name,
That's
yeah.
normal.
Okay, yeah. Mine's not cue ball, or my dad called me Stosh, and he didn't even know. Yeah, and I don't even know where that came from. But my whole life was Stosh.
Stosh.
Yeah, I was Stosh, and it was like, okay, and we just went along. All right, that's what it'll be. And so anyway, but man, can't thank you enough, especially short notice.
Had a good
We
time.
were already planning on having you come, but we had a quick change of plans, and we knew that we'd get you here, we'd have a good time.
Keep me on the short list. I'll fill in for anybody.
All right, yeah, there you go.
And, that Navy SEAL I've got probably things me and him need to talk about. I was able to hold my breath underwater, like across the pools,
Okay.
3 or 4 times.
Okay.
I've carried a telephone pole, and I know the Luttrells very well.
Okay.
Both the twins.
Okay.
I know both of them very well.
All right, there you go.
So we have common.
He had, I can't wait till he joins us, because he literally tells a story about killer dolphins that have these things on that the other enemy uses, that they'll puncture you and kill enemy people with dolphins.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, man, what a day. You go out, I'm worried about the Wi-Fi not working on my day, and these guys go out and there's killer dolphins coming out.
Can you imagine that being the way you go out?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
probably
Dolphin.
absent that day from training.
See that?
About that.
This is the man that, one of my other things, we keep going back to stuff, he gets a leg cramp during the broadcast, and you would have thought somebody stabbed him, because all of a sudden on the broadcast you're hearing, he's dying.
It is the word.
And we have a Callahan kid that loves the Yellow Jackets, and he always comes to the games, and so we always talk to Cal, and he calls Cal, get me mustard. I need mustard. Go to my car, go to my truck. In the glove compartment, there's a bunch of mustard packets. And so he goes and he brings it back, and I look over and I'm trying to call the game, and Randy's just sucking down mustard
I'm
packets.
telling you, it immediately stops it. If you're ever, a tablespoon, 2 of them maybe,
I did.
that.
He was back in action. Yeah, but he almost fell out of his chair with the leg cramp. And so it's always something. There's nothing ever easy,
Wow.
So anyway, but it's
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
It was.
All right, and let's give Caden some credit here.
Caden
DeShawn, the producer and engineer.
It was another fun episode. I honestly, I loved last week. I think that was so fun. I love these sports ones.
Uh-huh.
I'm dying back here. I'm laughing so hard. I'm dying. I wish the viewers could see me. I'm dying.
Well, and then your aunt is a part of not many of our broadcasts,
Yes.
Lisa Wimpy.
Oh, yeah.
Because she always sat by the crowd mic, and we got to hear about the sales at Nordstrom's. And
Did y'all put that mic on her?
No, it's in the same spot, but she sits right in front of the booth, and you just hear Lisa just going on about her problems, which are the Mercedes didn't start or something, and can't believe you got me a blue one.
Heard the story about the equator? They're flying down to Australia, and Joe tells her, we're going over the equator, and she's looking. She goes, "I don't see it. I don't see it."
This is a woman with a master's degree.
Right.
She's looking for a blue line going
right.
across the land.
How excited she must have been. And then it's not there. What a downer. So anyway, but yeah, so Caden's aunt is a part of our broadcast. So, of course, Joe and Tyler were always been big parts of it too. And so, we, all their whole family, with the Deshaungs, Eddie will come by and say hi. And
You coach the Wimpy boys?
Their cousin. I was in the booth when they were all playing.
Okay. Yeah, and Joe would doctor the books. Joe was the stat guy. Yeah,
Cook the book.
Cook the books. Yeah. What'd I say? Doctor to me. Yeah, he cooked them a little bit. It was amazing that every Wimpy went 4 for 4 every game.
Johnny Lawrence.
All right, Randy. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.